2033 Mo understand Tao. 2033 Mo understand Tao person, its origin before the world. Tao enlightenment is learning the heavens and the earth. Gather millions and then see the true path. Tai Chu once said, Tao is with spirit. Spirit is Tao. Mortal Tao. The world is united and yet have hundreds of troubles. Same path, but different endings. No art, no Tao. No root, no stem. No leaf, no blossom. Tao is everything becoming alive and then forming. This is called human way earth, earth way heaven, heaven way Tao, Tao way nature. Sikong Shan was getting to the exciting part and completely forget he was discussing Tao. The people below were immersed in this. Some of their essence spirit even left their body and used the essence spirit to feel the world Tao. Yemo nodded hearing this. Sikong Shan's understanding of Tao was far stronger than him. There were many things he didn't understand, but after Sikong Shan explained it, he immediately connected the dots. Sikong Shan's Tao in some places were in sync with the three-birth chant. This made Yemo very happy. He had never had a master, and this was the first time he listened to Tao. This Tao explanation was perfect for him. Sikong Shan meant that Tao formed before the heavens and earth. It's ethereal and indescribable. There were all sorts of different Tao, and you couldn't say any one of them is wrong. This meant that people used different ways to vindicate Tao, but their direction was the same, and the result they pursued was the same. At the same time, Sikong Shan believed Tao was nature. Learn Tao from the heavens and earth just like everything else in the world. Immortal Tao, essence Qi, the elite of essence Qi, Qi Tao is life. Immortal Tao person, full but doesn't spill. Prosper but not cocky, diligent but not boastful. Sikong Shan talked about heaven Tao and then immortal Tao. Then he spoke from immortal Tao about how to reach Tao vindication. People were mesmerized by his discussion. Yemo also combined Sikong Shan's Tao with his three-birth chant and was very shocked. A Tao essence divine emperor was this terrifying. There were many things which if Sikong Shan didn't say would take him maybe hundreds or maybe millions of years to think of. This Tao fruit wasn't wasted. It was really worth it. Later on, Sikong Shan stopped talking and just emitted his Tao waves. His voice spread in the Tao waves, making everyone feel his Tao waves and his understanding of Tao. 1 month passed quickly. When people were still immersed in this, Sikong Shan suddenly stopped. Everyone woke up abruptly and felt time went by too quickly. Yemo breathed. He benefited the most. There were many Tao theories that his three-birth chant could derive, but he didn't understand. Now he understood a lot. He gradually perfected his Tao. Everyone's Tao was learned through all the constituents of the universe, but the three-birth chant was different. He finally understood what Sikong Shan's theory of Tao's origin from nature was. Sikong Shan meant that Tao gave birth to one gave birth to two gave birth to three, and three gave birth to everything else. This meant that Tao existed before the world and everything. Everything was derived from Tao. But the three-birth chant didn't describe it that way. Its opening statement was chaos birth one birth two birth three, and three birthed everything. Yemo didn't really understand this before, but he had an approximate understanding now. This sentence could be understood as, chaos gave birth to one, and this one might be Tao. Then Tao gave birth to the world. Then everything else was born in the world. In the universe, chaos was first, then Tao, and then the world. This was the theory of the three-birth chant. Since Yemo got the three-birth chant and cultivated it, he could only borrow Sikong Shan's Tao, but not listen to it. If he did, he would be vindicating a small Tao. A light flashed across Yemo's brain. In order to vindicate Tao through three-birth chant, he needed to understand the law of all things and surpass heaven Tao and vindicate chaos instead of learn the law of all things and then vindicate heaven Tao. Chaos Tao and heaven Tao were two completely different things. Chaos was before, heaven Tao was after. Yemo breathed. He knew his Tao was too hard, but he cultivated the three-birth chant and had the chaos world, so he had to vindicate chaos. Otherwise, the divine damnation of the heaven Tao wouldn't let him go. He had seen this countless times. At this moment, Yemo finally realized why his divine damnation was always many times stronger than others. It was because he cultivated the three-birth chant and needed to vindicate Chaos Tao. Heaven Tao wouldn't allow a being who can surpass it to exist. If he didn't practice body refinement, he would have long disappeared in the divine damnation. Sikong Shan glanced at the people still immersed in his Tao and said, "My Tao discussion has ended. The remaining time will be for other divine emperors to explain the Heaven Tao. I need to go to the god Necropolis domain immediately. The 10 fortunate people, please come with me." Sikong Shan waved out a dark gray cloud, and 10 people immediately got up. Yemo saw that including him, there were 11 people. Clearly, Sikong Shan didn't take one off. Yemo knew clearly that at this time, the last person to go up would be left behind mercilessly. The person would be the unfortunate person Sikong Shan implied. Yemo quickly said to Du Qishi, "Brother Du, I'm going first. We'll meet again." Then, he dashed up to the dark gray cloud. Shan Yao had been staring at Yemo, seeing him go up. She followed without hesitation and stood next to him immediately. She didn't understand why Yemo dashed up so quickly, but when she saw everyone else come up quickly and Sikong Shan throw down the last person, she finally realized. The immortal emperor who was thrown down glared at Yemo. Yemo took his spot, and he wanted to kill Yemo, but he didn't dare to go up again. Go. Sikong Shan disappeared with the 10 from the cloud. With Sikong Shan gone, many people weren't interested in the Tao discussion, and some left. Du Qishi wanted to listen for longer, but seeing many people leave, he left without hesitation. He had been with Yemo, and Yemo offended too many people. Sikong Shan was extremely fast. The gray cloud formed a barrier of cloud. There were only the 10 people inside, but Sikong Shan was nowhere to be seen. Yemo carefully used his spirit sense to check outside, and immediately felt this dizziness. He was very shocked. A Tao essence divine emperor's speed was this terrifying that his spirit sense couldn't even sati outside the cloud. There was void fissures. How? Just how fast would Sikong Shan be if there were no void fissures? If Sikong Shan didn't take them, how fast would he be? "Brother Yi, you don't seem to be liked here," Shan Yao said, seeing people glare at Yemo coldly. Yemo glanced at these people and said, "I'm a monk. I'm not gay. Why do I need to be liked by them?" For the first time, Shan Yao felt Yemo was this interesting and laughed. "Brother Yi, there's a few extremely pretty goddesses here." "Not interested," Yemo said. After she said these 2 sentences, Yemo immediately annoyed the other 8 people. A woman who looked on par with Shan Yao just wanted to talk, but the gray clouds suddenly shook. Everyone subconsciously scanned this spirit sense out. Terrifying time whirlpool mixed with space whirlpool. There were also dense fissures and Tao runes that sliced across the heaven every now and then that instantly destroyed their spirit sense. Their faces were all pale. This is near the entrance of the god Necropolis domain. Be careful, don't scan your spirit sense out. A half-divine said with a pale face. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2034 Find Trouble with Yemo. 2034 Find Trouble with Yemo. Yemo said nothing. He found that amongst these 10 people, he lost the least spirit sense. This was probably due to his spirit sense being strong and him refining his spirit sense in the time whirlpool in the Muhua God Mountain. Sikong Shan didn't remind them at all and just scurried with the gray cloud. Sikong Shan's speed wasn't slow, but even with his speed, it had been many days and he still didn't reach the border of the god Necropolis domain. This made Yemo doubt if Tao molding divine emperor could leave the god Necropolis domain like this. Those people who wanted to look for Yemo's trouble didn't have the interest to keep talking. They were carried by someone flying outside the god Necropolis domain. If Sikong Shan was in a bad mood and threw them somewhere, none of them would be able to live. Luckily, they didn't stay very long in the gray cloud. In just half a day later, The 10 felt the ground shook, and then they heard Sikong Shan's voice. This is the god Necropolis domain. Find your own fortunes. Good luck. Sikong Shan was long gone. These 10 people had never been to the god Necropolis domain border. After hearing this voice, they used their essence chi to protect their body while searching around. Some people released their magic artifact and was very vigilant. The place they were at was dark gray. There were many time and space whirlpools and even void fissures, but these whirlpools were slow and the laws inside weren't strong. Even ordinary Immortal Emperor primary stage could deal with them, much less them. Yemo extended his spirit sense out and found why it was easier to vindicate Dao here. There were all sorts of broken word laws. The nearby law was very weak too. If you wanted to vindicate Dao, start with the weaker laws and gradually move inside the god Necropolis domain. If you learn a law and fuse it into your Dao, then you're not far from Dao vindication. Whether it was the highest Dao or small Dao, it was a path for people to vindicate Dao. A few immortal emperors who realized this left alone. Yemo wanted to leave. He didn't want to stay with these people, but as soon as he was preparing to leave, he was stopped. Monk, I heard you're very cocky. You know that little dragon is kept by someone, and yet you still dare to take it. An immortal emperor peak stage with a powerful force said. Those few people who wanted to leave saw this, and all stopped to enjoy the show. They knew each other here, and now there was a conflict. Of course they wanted to see their means. It has nothing to do with you. Yemo stopped and said. The immortal emperor released his magic artifact 5-element abstruse yellow ring and said in contempt, the emperor is Zhu Dragon God Tower. Taiwan immortal emperor Lianqi Sui. That dragon is kept by my sect. Do you think it's my business or not? Hand over the cultivation home. You keep the little dragon in, and let me check your storage ring. Perhaps the emperor will let you leave. Lian Chisue spoke with intense, killing intent. Even the people on the side could tell that he would kill Yemo regardless if he listened or not. Brother Lian, just do as you please. I, Zhongsu Gongjie, will back you up. Another half-divine stopped behind Yemo. My Chi Shao God corners 2 spots in here. Had one squeezed off by you bastard. I'll see what powers you have to be this cocky. Another bearded half-divine stood out. Moments later, the 3 had circled Yemo. Everyone knew that this bearded guy was called Hong Haoyan. He was definitely a powerful person. It was pretty much extremely hard to survive a battle with him if your cultivation level was the same as his. Yemo knew no one here, and no one stood up for him. Seeing Lian Chisue about to attack, Shan Yao quickly said, wait. Goddess Yao, even though you're the young mistress of the Shan Du God Estate, but this Yi guy is my Zhu Dragon God Tower's big enemy. Are you going to help him? Lian Chisue said with annoyance. Shan Yao smiled, of course I won't, but I have a few questions to ask Yemo. I was planning to ask later, but since you guys want to attack now, I'll just ask him one question. Please give me some face. Lian Chisue's face was bleak. Zhongsu Gongjie had been pursuing Shan Yao for a long time. Hearing this, he immediately waved his hand, Goddess Yao, just ask. It's only a few moments of time. No matter how strong he is, he wouldn't be able to escape after being trapped by us. Thank you, everyone. Shan Yao saluted with her fists and stared at Yemo. Brother Yi, I'm going to ask about someone. He's called Taba Feiyang. Have you heard of him? She stared at Yemo. If Yemo showed even the slightest reaction, she believed she could sense it. Yemo said without hesitation, I've never seen Taba Feiyang. Hearing this, Shan Yao breathed. She knew she thought of the wrong person. Hurry up and leave from my side. Hong Haoyan's power is terrifying. He's not someone you can beat. Shan Yao's sound transmission to Yemo was confused. He didn't expect her to help him. For their relationship, this was very nice. But Yemo didn't plan to go. 2 half-divines and an immortal emperor peak stage wanted to suppress him. They were dreaming. Seeing Yemo have no intentions to go, Shan Yao sighed and retreated to the side. She knew what Lian Chisue was after, and that's why I tried to help the innocent Yemo. Since Yemo didn't want to go, then never mind. Their domains stacked together, and it seemed Yemo was bound in the domain. Yemo didn't attack first. They didn't pose a threat to him. He was interested in Lian Chisue's ring. 5-element magic artifacts were very hard to make, but once made they were very powerful. When the ring rose and 5-colored light rose, Yemo was certain it was a 5-element magic artifact. Just when Yemo was about to release Su, another dashing light came. This dashing light's force was very powerful, far stronger than a half-divine. Clearly, it was a Tao-molding divine emperor. Even Lian Chisue didn't dare to keep attacking. Everyone, even Yemo, felt a bit hard to breathe as the person was too beautiful. Even though she just wore an ordinary yellow dress, her beauty made the dress pretty. It was usually clothes making people look better, but she made the clothes look better. Even Shan Yingyao felt embarrassed of herself. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2035, so powerful. 2035, so powerful, great immortal goddess. Everyone bowed, including Lian Chisue. Yemo just realized now that this extremely beautiful yellow-robed woman was from the immortal goddess sacred sect. For the first time, Yemo saw a woman who could match Xingru. The woman stood before them and didn't go, but Yemo dazed. He didn't daze due to this woman, but because he thought of Susu. The first time he saw Susu, she also wore a yellow robe in the desert. The woman glanced at everyone, and seeing Yemo didn't move, she said nothing and asked, "Did Sikong Shan bring you over?" "Yes, immortal goddess." Other than Yemo, everyone else nodded. The woman nodded and was about to leave, but Yemo heard Shan Yingyao sound transmission to him, "Brother Yi, she's the immortal goddess of the immortal goddess sacred sect. Ask for help." The yellow-robed woman glanced at Shan Yingyao, clearly hearing her sound transmission. However, she turned and disappeared in a yellow line before Yemo asked for help. Yemo smiled. He never planned to ask for help. Luo Ying's figure flashed before him again. It was such a similar encounter with Luo Ying, but this woman left without wanting to help him at all, but Luo Ying was willing to give him everything. Lian Chisue didn't care about what Yemo was thinking and released the 5-element ring again. Yemo looked into the distance and made up his mind to quickly vindicate Dao and leave here and get back to the immortal realm. His golden page world was complete. He could bring people inside. When he went back to the immortal realm, he would try to get back to the cultivation realm. Seeing the activated 5-color light, Yemo extended his domain. Lethal force stacked in the domain. Hong Haoyin and Zhongsu and Gangjie just extended their domain and hadn't stacked it with Lian Chisue's domain yet, and Yemo's domain pressed over while he released Sisu. The purple ray didn't fall, but instead swept the 5-element ring. At the same time, Yemo released 5 lightning spear destruction. He felt Lian Chisue's weak domain could do nothing against his domain. The difference in power was huge. If it wasn't to protect the ring, Yemo wouldn't even release 5 lightning spear destruction and just kill this Lian Chisue in one strike. When Yemo's domain pressed over, Lian Chisue felt his domain crack like an egg. Seeing this, Lian Chisue immediately knew that he was too cocky. He was a far cry from Yemo. Not just him, but the 3 of them added together was still far weaker than Yemo. Once this thought rose, Lian Chisue no longer had the fighting will. He wanted to flee, but the 5 lightning spear destruction had completely locked onto him. Lian Chisue forcefully released a defense magic artifact. His 5-element ring was stopped by the purple ray and couldn't break free. Crack! Lian Chisue's defense magic artifact cracked like paper and was pulverized by the 5 lightning spear destruction. Those lightning spears didn't change at all and kept smashing down. 5 bloodlights shot. Lian Chisue was killed before he could even resist. This entire process only took a few seconds. Clank! The 5-element ring fell to the ground. Yemo waved the ring into his hand. After looking at it for a while, he put it into his storage ring and then collected Lian Chisue's storage ring. Not just Hong Haoyin and Zhongsu and Gangjie, but everyone else looked dazedly at Yemo. Yemo was clearly an immortal emperor peak stage. How was his power similar to a Tao molding divine emperor / the reason Tao vindication divine emperor were so terrifying was because they understood the world law and could put laws in their god art. They were far stronger than immortal emperors. No matter how strong the immortal emperor, he would be killed by Tao molding divine emperor. Yimo killed an immortal emperor peak stage in an instant just like a Tao molding divine emperor would. So powerful. Shan Yao took in a cold breath. No wonder she called him to run a few times, but he didn't. He didn't need to run at all. Hong Haoyan and Zhongsu and Gangjian needed to run now. Everyone else looked at Yimo with concern. Yimo was far stronger than they had expected it. Yimo's domain swept out and bound Hong Haoyan and Zhongsu and Gangjia. Their faces were bad. Hong Haoyan was prideful, but after seeing Yimo attack, he knew he was no match for Yimo. Their domains combined couldn't stop Yimo. Brother Yi, I'm no match for you. I'm just a helper asked by Zhu Dragon God Tower. It's my bad that I offended Brother Yi. Please name a price. Hong Haoyan said. Just when Yimo wanted to talk, his face changed, and he quickly took back Zisu. Prepare 1,000,000 god crystals each, and I will come collect it. Then Yimo dashed away. Why doesn't he want it now? Another immortal emperor looked at Yimo's direction and asked in confusion. Moments later, another figure landed here only 3 seconds later. Everyone looked at this figure and immediately knew why Yimo didn't want it now. They were shocked at the same time as they didn't sense a Tao molding divine emperor coming, but Yimo felt it. This person was tall and had this lethal force, but his hair was messy and his chi was unstable. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2036 Scurrying Away. 2036 Scurrying Away, Truth Mang Divine Emperor Master. Seeing this person, everyone bowed. This person was extremely famous. He was Qi Shao God Corner, Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor Bian Xinda, Divine Emperor title Jin Mang. Hong Haoyan breathed easy. Jin Mang Divine Emperor was his Qi Shao God Corner Qian Bei. He feared Yimo even more. This many people didn't sense the Truth Mang Divine Emperor coming back. Yimo did. Bian Xinda looked at Yimo's direction and said, "Who left immediately after seeing me come?" And Solo Cultivator called Yimo. He just called Zhu Dragon God Tower Lian Chisui. Hong Haoyan spoke about what happened before. Bian Xinda frowned. He said to the people nearby, "Go find your own Tao. I'm going to talk with Hong Haoyan." After they left, Bian Xinda looked at Hong Haoyan and asked, "Did you say he killed Lian Chisui with just one move? What magic artifact did he use? Tell me about the specific process. And why were you three gaining up on him?" Hong Haoyan spoke of Yimo's magic artifact, Zisu, and 5 lightning spear destruction. When he heard Yimo was lightning element, Bian Xinda was even more shocked. Hearing that Yimo took away Zhu Dragon God Tower's small dragon, Bian Xinda frowned and said, "God Necropolis domain is a part of Chaos World. Now that the laws are incomplete, how can you use small world or cultivation home to bring people to the God Necropolis domain border?" Hong Haoyan quickly said, "Qiu Rang is dragon, not human." Bian Xinda sneered, "Sikong Shan doesn't like people to hide things. If that Yimo really used small world to bring dragon race without telling him, he would have kicked Yimo off immediately. Do you think a small world or cultivation home can trick a Tao essence divine emperor like Sikong Shan? It can't even get past me." Martial ancestor means Yimo didn't bring the little dragon here? Hong Haoyan suddenly thought of something and said, "I know. He probably gave that little dragon to Du Qixi." This time, Zhu Dragon Tower lost big. They didn't get anything and lost to Lian Chisui. Bian Xinda frowned, and after a long while he said, "What if Yimo really brought that little dragon in?" "What?" Hong Haoyan didn't understand yet. Bian Xinda just said quickly to Hong Haoyan, "When you encounter the Yimo, you must avoid him. You're no match for him." Then, he dashed in the direction Yimo left. Bian Xinda saw things clearer than Hong Haoyan. If Yimo didn't bring the small dragon and then Hong Haoyan was right, Yimo might have given Qiu Rang to Du Qixi. But what if Emo really had Xiao Rang with him, and Sikong Shan didn't notice this? Then there was only one reason. Emo had a five-element world or something beyond it. Only five-element world or something beyond that could be hidden in the essence, spirit, or sea of consciousness. As long as Sikong Shan didn't intentionally look for it, he wouldn't be able to find it. While Bien Shinda was chasing after Emo, Du Qishi was running like crazy. After he left the Dao discussion place, he immediately realized. Emo took Xiao Rang to Sikong Shan's cloud, but Sikong Shan didn't throw Emo down. This meant that Sikong Shan didn't notice it. What cultivation home could allow Sikong Shan to not discover it? Only five-element world or something beyond that. He was certain Emo had such thing, as only he knew that Emo didn't give the little dragon to him. This was why he had to run. Clearly, other people could think of this too, and while they would definitely send people after Emo at the God Necropolis domain, they would send people after him. Luckily, he had ran early for many days, but didn't find any signs of people chasing him. Du Qishi panicked. He had decided to not come back to Changfei Divine Dao City unless he reached Dao Essence. Whether Emo was dead or alive, it was something beyond his control. Bien Shinda was shaking with excitement. With the news he got from Hong Haoyan, he was almost certain that Emo had something beyond five-element world. Otherwise, Emo wouldn't be able to instant kill appear. He had been stuck at Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor for countless years, but couldn't press one bit. In order to reach Dao Actualization Divine Emperor, he had spent 100,000 years at the God Necropolis domain border, but still got nothing. He didn't dare to go inside the God Necropolis domain. If he crossed that ling, he would have been long dead. Now that he had the chance to get the five-element world, how could he let it go? He was thinking about getting Yemo's five-element world before other people got him. Yemo didn't know this, and just kept using mobility technique at the border. If Emo knew that Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor was looking for him, he would have long gone into the depth and not dared to use mobility technique at the outskirts. The border of the God Necropolis domain was huge, and spirit sense was limited heavily. That Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor wasn't able to find Emo in a short time. 5 days later, Emo stopped. He stopped in a chaotic space and felt a shaking from his essence spirit. There seemed to be a huge invisible wall that separated the inside from where he was. Yemo's spirit sense carefully reached into this space and immediately felt all sorts of laws entwined together in like a net and grinded his spirit sense to pieces. This was probably the inside of the God Necropolis domain. No wonder Dao Vindication Divine Emperors could only stay at the border. Other than powerful beings like Sikong Shan, who would be able to go in, Emo didn't dare to go in. No one who went in has ever come out. Even if someone has, he didn't dare to go in. Yemo's spirit sense scanned around and decided to set up a formation and then find a time whirlpool to learn time law. A subtle wave appeared in Yemo's spirit sense. When Emo felt the danger, he went into the Golden Page world without hesitation and controlled the Golden Page world to fly into the huge wall he didn't want to go into. He had seen the power of divine emperors. He couldn't even beat a Dao molding divine emperor. He felt the danger from that wave. If an immortal emperor came over, he definitely wouldn't feel danger. So this meant that it was a Dao Vindication Divine Emperor coming. Thinking about the Dao Nourishment Divine Emperor he saw before, Emo went into the terrifying Law Whirlpool wall without hesitation. As soon as Emo disappeared into the wall, a figure landed where Emo was. It was Bien Shinda. Bien Shinda's spirit sense scanned around, but he frowned more and more. Is it not that guy? He muttered to himself. He didn't see Emo go in the wall, and he didn't believe Emo dared to go into the wall. Bien Shinda investigated for a long while and was finally certain that Emo went in the huge wall with some magic artifact. It was probably the five-element world. Despite knowing the dangers in here and how it's fabled that everyone who went in never came out, Bien Shinda still clenched his teeth upon thought of Emo's five-element world and released a yellow fan. Then, he released countless fan shadows that circulated him before he charged in the wall. Emo didn't know that Bien Shinda had followed him in here. He could only float around in this place. He could control the Golden Page world, but couldn't allow it to choose a direction and run as his spirit sense couldn't go out. Yemo couldn't extend his spirit sense out, so he meditated in the Golden Page world. Yemo's face didn't seem so good, so usually shadowless and small ginseng wouldn't interrupt Yemo at this time. Chiorang, who already liked this place, listened to Big Brother Shadowless and didn't dare to go to Yemo. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2037 Great Primordial God Rune. 2037 Great Primordial God Rune. A day later, Yemo checked the outside with his spirit sense. Just like before, his spirit sense was grinded as soon as it scanned out. Yemo could only hand himself over to fate. If there was a powerful being looking at his Golden Page world, he would be dead. After that, Yemo would check with his spirit sense once a day. On the fourth day, his spirit sense wasn't grinded. Yemo found in joy that his Golden Page world had brought him out of the chaotic law whirlpool. Yemo immediately came out of the Golden Page world. The Golden Page world had chaos chi, so it was extremely dangerous to leave it outside. An ancient chi came rushing into him. Countless Tao waves circulated around him. Yemo was dazed. What was this place? Was this the real God, Necropolis domain? There were so many Tao waves here, making it many times easier to vindicate Tao than outside. Before Yemo could check with his spirit sense, another cold ancient chi swept over in his spirit sense. Yemo held his breath and didn't dare to move. He felt with his measly power, he would be instantly turned to dust. Dang dang. A few bell sounds came from the extreme distance. It seemed to convey an ancient sorrow. It seemed to rob the soul away as each strike of the bell struck on Yemo's heart. Yemo couldn't stop it at all. His heart cracked, and he spat a mouthful of blood. The chaos tree immediately released countless life force to repair Yemo's injuries. Yemo took in a cold breath. If this was the inside of the god Necropolis domain, it was too scary. Without the chaos tree, how could he survive here? The bell seemed to have crossed the universe. It came and left quickly, in just a few seconds. The sound of beasts yelling, bell sounds, drum sounds, and magic artifact sounds smashed together. As it came, Yemo gradually got used to the terrifying environment here. If it wasn't for the chaos tree, he would have been dead many times. Yemo turned around and wanted to find that chaotic law whirlpool. He felt that although it was scary, he could still comprehend it. There was nothing he could comprehend in here. No matter how he searched, he couldn't find anything. The chaotic law wall was gone. Yemo carefully walked forward a few steps. His footsteps landed on the solid black ground. Each step created this echoing sound. Two wave-like cracks appeared on the pitch-black ground. Yemo's spirit sense scanned it, and there was this dizzy and murderous feeling. Yemo knew there were eerie things everywhere. He didn't dare to cross this rune. Instead, he took out a top-grade immortal artifact and careful threw it on the rune. When the top-grade immortal crystals fell on the ripple rune, it was instantly pulverized. Yemo took in a cold breath. Such powerful ripple rune. Who left such rune behind? It's been who knows how many years, but it was still this terrifying. He carefully essayed down as his spirit sense cut into the border of the rune. That dizzy and murderous feeling came again, but there were more things mixed. The endless space of the universe seemed to have been pressed on these two ripple runes, and then it disappeared. Space was devoured, and everything nearby seemed to have been destroyed by Taste, two runes forming a dark void. Yemo seemed to have been taken in by the two ripple runes and sunk into darkness. My Tao, great primordial, great beginning person, the beginning for form, great primordial god rune, tear the heavens and shatter the earth, destruction to everything. This was great god art, great primordial god rune. Yemo rejoiced and sunk all his mind into this rune. This was just a rune fragment left after battle, but it was a treasure to Yemo. This was his first time coming in contact with great god art, a great god art he could touch. Even though this god art was fragmented, Yemo didn't mind. The Tao waves, and the powerful god Chi was devoured by Yi Mo and slowly became Yi Mo's. That sliver of Tao wave cleared up in Yi Mo's brain. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Mo suddenly woke up. He waved 2 god runes out. These 2 runes didn't leave any ripples in the sturdy space, but Yi Mo knew his 2 god runes had a sliver of the great primordial god rune essence. When he perfected his own god art, this god rune would be his powerful lethal blow. This is indeed the place of great Tao. Yi Mo sighed. He finally realized. Those bell sounds, drum sounds, beast roars were all sorts of god art Tao runes and all sorts of law chi. If you had the capability, you can learn all sorts of god art law and learn all sorts of top means. Yi Mo looked at the 2 great primordial god runes. They seemed to be blurring. Yi Mo threw another top-grade immortal artifact on it, but there was no reaction. Yi Mo realized that the Tao wave and chi of the 2 great primordial god rune had been taken by him. From now on, the 2 great primordial god rune would slowly fade and disappear. Realizing the benefit of the god necropolis domain, Yi Mo never thought about leaving again. Cultivation was struggling in danger. If he retreated in fear facing such great fortune, he would never achieve great Tao. Yi Mo took out Zisu and put it on his back as he carefully moved forward. Yi Mo wanted to find a place to vindicate Tao first, and then his survival abilities in here would be much strong. Then, he would be able to gradually go to the center of the god necropolis domain. Rumble! A huge explosion sounded, and Yi Mo was shocked. Was there someone fighting in the god necropolis domain? Thinking about this, 2 figures dashed to him. Yi Mo looked dazedly at these 2 figures. He had seen both of them. The yellow-robed figure was the immortal goddess Sacred Sect Immortal Goddess, and the other one was the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. As soon as Yi Mo saw this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, he turned to flee, but then he gave up this action. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's chi was mess, and his spirit sense wave was erratic. Clearly, he was heavily injured. However, that immortal goddess was in a worse situation. Her clothes were broken, and her snow-white skin covered with blood. There was a terrifying wound on her chest. She was clearly in the lower hand, and moments later, she would be killed by the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Yi Mo was shocked. Were all immortal goddesses respected? Why were they fighting like this? Yi Mo didn't underestimate her at all. She was only Tao Molding Divine Emperor, but could fight with Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor to this degree. Yi Mo didn't leave. That Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was clearly at his wit's end. He placed his spirit sense on the golden bow of divine extermination. When the 2 were almost done fighting, or when the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor killed the immortal goddess, he would draw the bow and kill the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2038 9 flower petals fall. 2038 9 flower petals fall. When Yi Missouri saw the 2, they also saw Yi Mo. Bien Shinda was overjoyed. He didn't expect Yi Mo to appear before him. He came here to find Yi Mo. Now that Yi Mo appeared, he didn't want to fight this woman anymore. He was very annoyed. If it wasn't that he was already injured, how could this Tao Molding Divine Emperor be a match for him? Now they were both heavily injured. But even so, he wasn't worried. As long as he had one breath here, Yi Mo, this immortal emperor peak stage, would be an insect to him. He was further sure that Yi Mo was able to come here due to 5-element world. When the immortal goddess saw Yi Mo, she was also shocked. Yi Mo was only immortal emperor power level. How could he come here? Even if he used means to cross to god necropolis domain border, it would be suicide to stay in such place covered in Tao waves. When she saw that Yi Mo didn't leave, she knew that Yi Mo wanted to wait for them to both be heavily injured and them come in. Thinking about this, she sneered. Even if her or the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor only had one breath left, Yi Mo, an immortal emperor, wouldn't be able to take them both out. Thud! Another gray beam pierced the woman's ribs. There was a sliver of despair in her eyes. She knew that if she kept fighting, she would be dead for certain. She subconsciously looked at Emo. At this moment, she wanted to ask Emo to help. If Emo could help, she might be able to kill this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. But Emo just stared at them and didn't intend to fight at all. Seeing this, the woman sighed. She knew that the reason Emo didn't help was because she didn't help him when he was about to be killed. There was karma in this world indeed. She ran her god essence more crazily after knowing that Emo wouldn't help. A blue beam flashed and 9 flower petals fell. The killing intent dimension instantly became sad. An extremely sad chi diffused from these flower petals. The extremely terrifying lethal force of the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was also affected by the flower petals. It was as though it didn't want to damage these 9 flower petals. Emo felt an extreme sadness come. He suddenly couldn't control his emotions and wanted to use his body to block that dark ray so that the woman wouldn't be hurt at all. At this moment, the yellow-robed immortal goddess became Luoying and looked at him deeply. If I go, don't miss me. When the 9 petals drifted down, it was powdered. If she's going to die, why should I live alone? Endless sadness rose up in Yemo's heart. He could no longer control his sadness and instantly released Zisu. At this moment, the chaos tree waved, sending over life force and chaos chi. Yemo instantly woke up and sweated cold. Such a terrifying god art. He had been cultivating under the bitter bamboo for so long and cultivated the 3-birth chant, but was almost caught in this. However, he didn't put away Zisu. Instead, his killing intent grew as though he was going to get revenge for the woman. Bien Shinda saw these 9 flower petals, and his face changed. However, his fan spun and enveloped him. When the sad Tao wave struck his fan, it only created some ripples. Seeing Emo raise his magic artifact in sadness, he rejoiced. His target was no longer this woman, but Emo. The woman saw Emo's sadness and resolution and suddenly felt guilty. Her flower petals powder suddenly gathered and formed 9 flower petals again. These petals formed a blue light that wrapped around her as she disappeared. I will get revenge for you. These were her last words before she left. Emo sneered but didn't really attack with Zisu. He had released Golden Bow of Immortal Extermination and shot the first arrow out. The nearby space that was filled with sadness instantly became dead. Dense destructive chi was shot out from the Golden Bone arrow. This space was filled with Tao waves, but due to this arrow, the Tao waves dispersed. At this moment, there was only this arrow in this space. Bien Shinda could have stopped the woman from leaving, but Emo was here, so how could he chase after that woman? He set his gaze on Emo and released the yellow fan at Emo. To him, it was all too easy to catch Emo. He could catch Emo like a small chicken. The fight golden scroll of destructive chill came at him and broke all the Tao waves nearby. Golden arrow of divine extermination. Bien Shinda immediately recognized this arrow. He swept the fan at this arrow without hesitation. Rumble. The golden arrow shot on the fan, and the lethal force split apart. The destructive killing intent was blocked by the fan. But at the same time, the fan exploded. Bien Shinda didn't rejoice at all. He knew there were 9 arrows to the golden bow of divine extermination. He didn't know how many Emo had. If Emo had more than 5 and could shoot them all, he would be in danger today. Luckily, he saw form the first arrow that Emo didn't completely spirit control the arrows. He could only release less than 5% of instant second power. To Bien Shinda, it was this little immortal emperor's cunning mind that was the scariest. He pretended to be mesmerized by the 9 flower petal god art, but he was actually very conscious. He released the purple sword, but he was actually releasing the golden bow of divine extermination. If it wasn't that their difference in power was too great, he would have been shot by the arrow. He didn't have the mood to check the broken fan. He released a huge seal. If his full power was here, he could crush Emo just by reaching out his hand, but now he was too heavily injured. Emo was shocked at the same time. This Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was too powerful. He was at his wit's end and could still block that ambush first arrow. If the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor wasn't heavily injured, then even if he had all 9 arrows, he wouldn't be able to touch him. At this moment, Yemo shot the second arrow without hesitation. The destructive killing intent swept up again, taking away all the life force of this space. Rumble. The second arrow was blocked by the fan again, but completely destroying it this time. Bien Shinda sneered. This fan had been with him for many years, but was destroyed today. He wasn't annoyed. If he dodged all the golden arrows, then he would win. The golden bow of divine extermination was hundreds of times better than his fan, and the 5-element world was something of his dreams. Yemo shot the third arrow without hesitation. He knew that even if all 4 arrows were blocked, he would have to fight with his life. If he ran, he would die a gruesome death. Thud! The third arrow smashed with Bien Shinda's huge seal. Even the sturdy space here was cracking. The golden arrow and seal flew out at the same time and smashed into the sturdy black ground, creating a terrifying ravine. Bien Shinda sneered. If it wasn't that his injuries were too heavy, how could Yemo shoot his seal away with 1 arrow? Wait! Bien Shinda suddenly woke up. His fan was destroyed and his seal was smashed away. Even though the arrow was shot at him and blocked by the seal, how could it fly away? It should fall before him. Moments later, Bien Shinda woke up. The third arrow wasn't shot at him, but the seal, so it could fly away. Bien Shinda immediately knew that since Yemo shot his seal away, Yemo wouldn't allow time for him to call back his seal. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2039 Terrifying Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. 2039 Terrifying Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Such terrifying calculations. Bien Shinda actually shivered as he grabbed at the golden bone arrow with his hand. With his current state, the golden bone arrow would quite possibly crack his hand open, but as long as he grabbed it, he would have greater returns. As long as he had the 5-element world, he could grow his hand back at any time. Yemo's face was extremely pale. He didn't expect a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was this terrifying. He was already in such weakened state, and yet his 4 arrows didn't do much damage to him. If he didn't use instant second, this 4th arrow would definitely be stopped and at most blow his hand up. If Bien Shinda stopped the 4th arrow, then he would be dead for sure. Instant second. Yemo waved his hand and used his most powerful god art. When instant second was used, the surroundings paused. This entire space stopped moving. Bien Shinda's expression froze. When the golden bone arrow passed Bien Shinda's hand and shot at Bien Shinda's chest, Bien Shinda's hand suddenly moved. The entire space was moved away by him, and even the arrow was moved away. The golden bone arrow was aimed at his heart, but now it could only pass through his shoulders, brining out a spray of blood. Bien Shinda's face instantly became fatigued. Clearly, it wasn't easy for him to use space god art. Yemo was extremely shocked. He had already tried to overestimate Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, but this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was still this powerful. He broke free from his instant second and moved the space in front of him. Compared to the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's space law, Yemo felt like his space law was a baby learning to walk. This was a true great god art. Moving space. If Bien Shinda was fine, then even if he used instant second 100 times, it would just be a joke to him. Bien Shinda saw that his shoulder blade was blasted away and his face sunk. He grabbed the golden bone arrow and said coldly, "A little immortal emperor actually learned time law. No wonder you dared to stay behind. But I'm going to show you what true despair is." Yemo's face went as gray like his hair. For the first time, he saw such a terrifying person. Was Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor truly this terrifying? And this was an extremely heavily injured Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Yemo truly realized how terrifying that Tao Molding Divine Emperor Immortal Goddess was to be able to fight with this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor to this degree. Seeing the intense killing intent of this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, Yemo knew he had no chance to hesitate. All his god art was nothing to this Bien Shinda. Yemo instantly decided to fight one last time and use the newly learned god art at full power, Great Primordial God Rune. Great Primordial God Rune was a great god art, but Yemo didn't have the power to release such god art. Essence blood and god essence was all burned by Yemo like crazy. His hair instantly grew out, and he went from a bald monk to a long-haired man. However, his hair was gray and getting whiter. When Bien Shinda released his god art, Yemo raised his hand and said slowly, Great Primordial God Rune, tear the heavens and shatter the earth, destroy everything. Great Primordial God Rune. Bien Shinda's face changed, and he immediately gave up his god art and turned to leave. The instant he turned, Bien Shinda was full of regret. There were countless regrets in one's lifetime, but Bien Shinda knew his greatest regret wasn't stopping Yemo, but turning away from the Great Primordial God Rune. Great Primordial God Rune ignored space and time law, but Yemo was a mere immortal emperor. Even if he released Great Primordial God Rune, it would only have the look, but not the actual force. He didn't need to be scared. Such Great Primordial God Rune wouldn't even be able to break through his space law. Why did he need to run? Even if he took it on by force, he could still run away. However, there was only one chance, and now it was gone. He subconsciously wanted to run upon hearing the name of this terrifying great god artifact. Two subtle Great Primordial God runes hit Bien Shinda, and his body started to distort and cripple. A Tao nourishment, divine emperor died to the name of a god art. This was sad, but it also showed the terrifying name Great Primordial God Rune had. Only those who have heard of it would know instant second terror. Yemo looked dazedly at this Tao nourishment divine emperor. He really didn't believe this. He didn't understand why Bien Shinda ran when he released Great Primordial God Rune. With Bien Shinda's power, even if he walked over the two Great Primordial God Runes, he wouldn't die, much less his newly learned Great Primordial God Rune. It might injure him more, but definitely wouldn't be able to kill him. Just what is Great Primordial God Rune? It made a Tao nourishment divine emperor this scared of it? Yemo murmured and looked at his hand. He was planning to use instant transmission the instant Bien Shinda stopped Great Primordial God Rune. He couldn't even care about his 4 bow and arrows. However, he didn't expect that the Great Primordial God Rune just annihilated this Tao nourishment divine emperor. A wave of weakness came. Yemo didn't dare to keep thinking. He quickly took his golden bow and arrows as well as Bien Shinda's storage ring and magic artifact and turned to leave. He desperately needed to find a place to recover. Yemo's injury was worse than Bien Shinda, but luckily the chaos tree kept nourishing his body. Even with 1 extra second, his injuries would recover a lot. After Yemo left for 15 minutes, he suddenly felt things weren't good. He didn't see the essence spirit of that Tao nourishment divine emperor. Was his essence spirit killed by the Great Primordial God Rune? Yemo was suspicious. If a Tao nourishment divine emperor essence spirit hid, it was normal that he couldn't see it. Thinking about this, Yemo became more worried. He changed the direction and fled. Regardless if that essence spirit was killed, he had to find a place to recover and vindicate Tao first. After Yemo left, Bien Shinda's essence spirit suddenly appeared. He stared at Yemo's direction and cursed, if I, Bien Shinda, don't pull your bones and burn your soul. I swear I'm not human. As soon as he said this, he screamed. A crack appeared in his essence spirit, and his essence spirit dimmed down even more. I hate this. Great Primordial God Rune's runic path. Bien Shinda's essence spirit howled and finally disappeared. The terror of the Great Primordial God Rune wasn't just with instant second rune, but also the runic path left behind. If the person was still within the range of the rune, he would be killed by the runic path left behind. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2047 Tao molding. 2047 Tao molding. When Bien Shinda's essence spirit disappeared, a bead fell down. However, Yimo didn't know about this at all. He just wanted to find a place to recover. Who took the two great primordial god rune Tao waves here? A bald-headed old man stood where the two great primordial god rune waves were. Who dares to rob my business? The old man roared, but then he calmed down. The reason the great primordial god rune was left here for countless years without being learned was because ordinary people couldn't learn it at all. Almost everyone who entered the god necropolis domain would come here to learn the great primordial god rune, but none of them have succeeded. Ganyang and got quite some fortune at the god necropolis domain this time, and came back to see if he could learn the great primordial god rune. However, the great primordial god rune was gone. He calmed down so quickly because he could image that the person who learned this rune wouldn't be simple. Since the person learned great primordial god rune, even he might not be a match for this person. Ganyang sighed dejectedly. It seems I can only go to life sucking barren restriction. I've stayed outside all these years just for the two great primordial god runes, but it's still not mine, sigh. Ganyang sighed and disappeared. In a very subtle place in the god necropolis domain, Yimo let out a long breath in the Golden Page world. He had been recovering in the Golden Page world for many years with the help of the Chaos Tree before recovering. There were too many dangers in the god necropolis domain, but there were equally as many fortunes. If he didn't see the two great primordial god runes and learned it, he might have been dead already. He completely didn't expect that a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor would be this terrifying. Although he knew he would benefit more if he went out, Yimo didn't dare to go out. There were divine emperors everywhere in this god necropolis domain. Before Tao vindication, he was worse than an insect. If he vindicated Tao, he believed that he wouldn't even fear a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. He opened the two storage rings. He got a decent magic artifact from Lien Shisui's ring and 300k god crystals. As for god pills and god spirit herb, they were very rare. What made Yimo overjoyed was the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's ring. There was not only a low-grade god spirit range, but also 2 million god crystals, as well as all sorts of god spirit herbs and forgery materials that were stacked in piles. If it was before, Yimo would definitely organize the god spirit herb and materials first, but now, Yimo immediately took out the god crystals and god spirit range into the Golden Page world and set up a top-level spirit gathering formation. He needed god crystals and god spirit range to vindicate Tao. Although Tao vindication was mainly about learnings and enlightenments and not infinitely devouring god spirit chi was still a necessity. Just in case, Yimo set Xiaorang, Shadowless, and Small Ginseng into the Blue Bead world. It wouldn't be good if something went wrong with his Tao vindication due to these three. Yimo sat under the bitter bamboo. The Chaos Tree spun in his dantian. In the Golden Page world, Yimo completely relaxed. His essence, spirit, and consciousness had fused into one with his Chaos world. Yimo chose to vindicate Tao in the Golden Page world. He didn't have time to go find Time Law Whirlpool nor Space Law Whirlpool. After learning Great Primordial God Rune, he had given up that way of Tao vindication. Using Law Whirlpool to vindicate Tao could allow him to learn Law God Art and then vindicate Tao. But this changed when Yimo killed a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor with Great Primordial God Rune. He believed it was easy to vindicate Tao with the Law Whirlpool, but there was limitations to this Tao. It would make him unable to surpass Tao in the future. The three-birth chant Tao vindication was different to other Tao vindication methods. Three-birth chant vindicated the chaos Tao and surpassed the heavens. So when the five elements were united in the Golden Page world, Yimo had decided to vindicate Tao in his chaos world. He was going to use Golden Page world as a bridge to vindicate the chaos Great Tao. At the Great Primordial, there was nothing. Nothing had the name nothing. At the beginning of one, there was one, but no form. Great Primordial Person, the beginning of Chi. Great Primordial had Tao. Tao existed with spirit. Waves of Great Primordial Law and Great Primordial Tao wave formed in Yimo's will. The more he understood this Tao wave, the greater the Great Primordial Tao wave was. Yimo's face suddenly changed. Great Primordial God rune was just a great primordial God rune of his. He had already decided to not vindicate Tao through God art. How come everything he learned was related to Great Primordial? If this continued, even if he vindicated Tao, he would never vindicate the Tao he needed. Plus, Great Primordial had Tao. Tao existed with spirit. Such was not even accepted by Sikong Shan. Even Yi Mo felt it was wrong. How could such theory exist in his will? The three-birth chant derived a Tao with great courage, great wisdom, and great perseverance, not small tricks and games in God, art Tao vindication. Yi Mo showed resolution on his face. He severed with his spirit sense, without hesitation, sever great primordial God rune. Rumble. An explosion sounded in Yi Mo's spirit will. Yi Mo's face went paler, and he spat out a mouthful of essence blood. The newly learned two great primordial God runes were severed. At the beginning of chaos, Tao formed, 5 elements boom. Something flowed. It had no shape nor matter. It was time. The instant of time can become eternity. Yi Mo's face changed again. In order to vindicate Tao, he severed great primordial God, rune God art, but it turned into instant second-time God art. At this rate, he was going to vindicate Tao through his instant second God art and time law. He was certain that if he did this, his instant second God art would be hundreds of times stronger. But Yi Mo deigned to want such Tao. Such Tao was no different to great primordial God rune. I will vindicate Tao chaos, the most high Tao, sever. Yi Mo was extremely resolute and severed his God art instant second. Sever God art shatter sky. Sever God art 5 lightning spear destruction. Sever God art crevice. Yi Mo's face went paler. The God arts he learned after countless hard work were severed mercilessly by him. He would sever any God art that influenced him from vindicating great chaos Tao. Rumble. When Yi Mo severed his final God art void, he had fused with his chaos world. At this moment, he was connected to the chaos world. He saw everything and heard in the golden page world. He knew when a speck of dust moved in his golden page world. There started to be space ripples in the golden page world space, as though the entire world was waving. The border of the chaos expanded. The entire golden page world expanded more than 100 times. Under the bitter bamboo, Yi Mo found that the laws of this world became more perfected. The laws that he saw before, but didn't understand, became easier to understand. Yi Mo's figure condensed, and he suddenly got up. A powerful chi filled the golden page world. His gray hair turned black and no longer had the weakened chi. The God arts he severed circulated around him and soon fused with the chaos chi. They were learnt by Yi Mo again, and soon completely fused as one with Yi Mo. There was no lightning, just a chaos rainbow, cloud falling from the sky and landing on Yi Mo. There was an extremely satisfying feeling. Yi Mo raised his fist and punched. A huge ripple formed before his fist. He could let this punch smash any corner at this moment. Yi Mo breathed. He realized that after fusing with the God arts again, they became stronger. More importantly, they truly became his. He could easily turn them into great God art in the future. Yi Mo devoured the chaos rainbow cloud, and suddenly a message appeared in his spirit will. He had molded Chaos Tao. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2041 Sane. 2041 Sane, he just suddenly molded Tao. Yi Mo was a little surprised. He thought Tao vindication would be very hard, but after he resolutely severed Tao, he vindicated Tao. If he was any bit reluctant, he wouldn't be able to vindicate the Tao he needed. Feeling his powerful strength and the clear world laws, Yi Mo knew he needed to go into solitary cultivation and organize what he had learned, as well as the follow-up cultivation method of 3-birth chant in Tao vindication. After Tao vindication, it was mainly about learning Tao, but it didn't mean you didn't need cultivation method. Without it, your cultivation couldn't progress. Yi Mo didn't know how much time he used to vindicate Tao. When he called Shadowless and Small Ginseng, Yemo realized that despite seeming like a short time, it had been more than 10 years. Yemo went into solitary cultivation again. Time flew by, but Yemo knew Tao molding even clearer. There was Tao molding Divine Emperor, Tao nourishment Divine Emperor, and Tao actualization Divine Emperor after Immortal Emperor. After reaching Tao actualization Divine Emperor, you could enter the second stage. Tao essence Divine Emperor was the second stage powerful being. In order to Tao essence Divine Emperor, it's purely about learning and stacking of resources. Even if you're extremely smart, you wouldn't be able to achieve Tao essence. Even if you have mountains of resources, if you don't have great learning capabilities, you couldn't achieve Tao essence. It was because of this that even in the easy-to-vindicate Tao God Necropolis domain, Tao Essence Divine Emperor were extremely rare. Each Tao Essence Divine Emperor was extremely powerful and unique. As he derived, Yemo felt the Tao he molded was different to ordinary Tao molding Divine Emperor. Although his power increased infinitely, he only vindicated a part of the Chaos Tao. Only when he reached primordial chaos would he perfect his Tao. Far away from Yemo in the immortal goddess sacred sect, Mu Xiaoyan got up in surprise and joy. She reached great unity immortal. Xiaoyan, you reached great unity immortals? Luo Biyue came over. Mu Xiaoyan opened a restriction and said with a face of joy, "Yes, Sister Biyue. I feel cultivating here is better than the small heaven domain. My immortal essence is also denser. Xiaoyan, we're cultivating with God's spirit chi here. Of course our power would be stronger. You need to be used to saying God essence. Immortal essence isn't this dense." Luo Bus said happily. Mu Xiaoyan nodded. If I was still at the small heaven domain, I would at most be abstruse immortal middle stage. If I continue at this speed, it wouldn't be long until I reach immortal emperor. Luo Biyuan knew what Mu Xiaoyan thought and said, "Xiaoyan, I know you want to bring up your cultivation level fast, but you must know that if you rush cultivation, it will be detrimental. Even with how I'm recovering my cultivation level, I'm doing it in an orderly fashion. Later on, cultivation isn't just about taking in more essence chi, it's also about learning and enlightenments." Mu Xiaoyan quickly answered, "I know, Sister Biyue." Just when Luo Biyue wanted to talk, a few distant bells sounded. She looked at the direction and said, "There must be something at Immortal Goddess Peak. It has nothing to do with us. Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect sounds like a big sect, but they're so stingy. If Master didn't take us in, we would have been dead already. Sister Biyue, I want to find a place to test my power." Mu Xiaoyan asked. "Okay, as long as we don't leave Lanyi Peak. No matter how arrogant those people are, they wouldn't come to our peak." Luo Biyue also wanted to see how Mu Xiaoyan was after reaching Great Unity Immortal. Mu Xiaoyan's cultivation method was a top-notch cultivation method that even her master felt was good. Other than learning the beauty cultivation method of the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect, she didn't need to change anything. It's good that both of you are here. You don't need to go test your cultivation level. There's something big in the sect. Come with me to Immortal Goddess Palace." Lan Qilan said softly. Seeing their master come, the two quickly bowed. "Master, are we going too?" "Xiaoyan," Luo Biyue said hesitantly. Lan Qilan understood, of course. They were hiding in Lanyi Peak as they didn't want to go out and get abused by other disciples. Lan Qilan smiled. "It's fine coming with me this time. Don't go to other places after the Immortal Range Palace. Just come back here directly. This thing is very serious. All the direct sect members of the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect must participate, so you guys must come too." "Yes, Master," Luo Biyue and Mu Xiaoyan quickly said. The tallest peak in Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect was the Immortal Goddess Peak, and the biggest palace was the Ice God Palace. The distant bell sounds spread across the sect. Countless Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect members flew towards the palace. The two knew they had little status here, so they followed their master closely. Dang! When the final bell sounded, almost all the sect members were here. There were at least more than 1,000 sect members here. There was indeed no ugly women in the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect. Mu Xiaoyan couldn't see through their power level, but in this palace, she felt she was the weakest. At the very top sat a purple-robed woman. Mu Xiaoyan just snuck a glance at her and felt a powerful spirit sense fall on her. She quickly looked down. The palace was silent. The purple-robed woman scanned the sect members and said slowly, "Our immortal goddess sacred sect had been in the divine Tao realm for countless years and have even become the most powerful and respected sect in the divine Tao realm. We're respected because our sect once saved the divine Tao realm, but also because of our power. The divine Tao realm is broken and Tao vindication is getting harder and harder. Our immortal goddess sacred sect is far better than other sects, but we're still facing such trouble. 100 years ago, our Saint Ji, she left the sect and went to God Necropolis domain to seek Tao. However, 20 years ago, her soul lamp became extremely dim, and these few days it's about to go out. The quiet palace finally erupted in chatter. A high-status divine emperor asked desperately, "In the immortal goddess sacred sect, the saint's soul lamp must always remain lit. If it was annihilated, it would mean that the immortal goddess sacred sect was going to decline. So every saint of the immortal goddess sacred sect would have escape, means even if they were about to be killed. At the very least, their essence spirit would be able to escape." Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan could tell this purple-robed woman's voice was a bit coarse, and she was the sect leader that let them stay. After the chatter went down a bit, the purple-robed woman said again, "I think everyone knows why the immortal range bell was rung." The palace fell silent. Everyone realized that it was the day to choose a new saint and light up the saint's soul lamp again. The saint had very unique status in the immortal goddess sacred sect, but she had unique responsibilities. She must be ready to sacrifice for the sect at any time. She lived and died for the sect. The purple-robed woman sighed, "We have plenty of sect members, but it's very hard to find one with saint talent." Sect leader, "In terms of talent, we really do have one. Her talent is even better than Saint Ji Shi." A gray-robed woman got up and said. The sect leader's face changed as she said, "Yunhui." "Which one?" The gray-robed woman quickly said, "Out of the two disciples Qilin Marshall's sister took in, there's one called Mu Xiaoyan. She reached great unity, immortal from abstruse, immortal primary stage in 20 years. Such cultivation speed is extremely hard to find even in the divine Tao realm. This Yunhui woman was the one who looked at Mu Xiaoyan with killing intent. Mu Xiaoyan didn't understand why this Yunhui always tried to sabotage her. Qilanqi couldn't resist it and got up, sect leader. Xiaoyan is only great unity, immortal cultivation level, and she has married someone before. How can she be saint? Marshall's sister Yunhui. You said before that Xiaoyan lost her virginity and didn't allow her to stay in the sect. What is your intention proposing for her to be saint? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2042 Lose Half Soul. 2042 Lose Half Soul. Seeing her master's desperate tone, Mu Xiaoyan knew there was something strange about this saint. Yunhui calmly said, "Marshall's sister Qilin, I thought wrong before. Sect leader already told me, the ocean takes in all the rivers. Our sect had people who lost their virginity before." Lan Qilan's face went green. She knew Yunhui was talking about her mom and Marshall's sister, but she knew now wasn't the time to argue about this. She immediately got up and wanted to say something, but the purple-robed woman said, "Qilan, you don't get to decide this. Xiaoyan, stand out." Hearing this, Qilanqi didn't dare to say anything and sat down with a pale face. Hearing this, Mu Xiaoyan quickly stood out and bowed. Lan Peak Mu Xiaoyan greet sect leader. MHM. The sect leader studied Mu Xiaoyan for a while and said, "Not bad, dense essence qi and astounding cultivation progress. Xiaoyan, you're a sect members of the immortal goddess sacred sect. Are you willing to be our saint?" Mu Xiaoyan replied respectfully, "Sect leader, I'm already a married woman. My life goal is to cultivate successfully and go back to see my husband." The purple-robed woman frowned and asked, "Who is your husband?" Mu Xiaoyan didn't dare to hide and told her everything about Yemo. The purple-robed woman said, nicely according to what you said. There's no way your husband can find the teleportation formation you left the magical continent with. It seems your husband is probably not alive anymore. The magical continent doesn't even have spirit chi. How can one cultivate Tao? Sect member only has husband in my heart. I don't dare to seek the saint position. Please see this sect leader. Mu Xiaoyan said. Lan Qilan was very worried. She could reject Yunhui, but it didn't mean she could reject the sect leader. Mu Xiaoyan was her disciple, and yet dared to object to the sect leader. How dare you, Mu Xiaoyan? You're a small sect member of a mortal goddess sacred sect, and you dare to talk to the sect leader like this. Yunhui reproached. Yunhui then said to the purple-robed woman respectfully, Lan Qilan is a Tao molding divine emperor of the immortal goddess sacred sect, and yet the disciples she taught are this rude. Sect leader, if our immortal goddess sacred sect continues like this, it would no longer have the attributes of the number one divine sect. I believe many people have already forgot about the prison door mountain. Sect leader, the purple-robed woman raised her hand and looked calmly at Mu Xiaoyan. Will do things like this. Qilan, Mu Xiaoyan is your disciple. She has no respect for elders, and it's your responsibility. Your master was extremely talented, but fell to such consequence due to one decision. I hope you make your decisions wisely. Lan Qilan knew that if she dared to say anything else, she would be sent to the prison door mountain. Her master died in there, and if she went, she wouldn't be able to come back too. Mu Xiaoyan didn't dare to talk anymore too. Her master told her the story about it. The purple-robed woman waved out a bronze lamp. There were slivers of sparkles inside that could be annihilated at any time. Everyone looked at the lamp and realized that it was indeed about to go out. The purple-robed woman grabbed, and Mu Xiaoyan felt something leave her body. The purple-robed woman took out the small light in the lamp and put the thing she grabbed in Tati lamp. Finally, the spark went out, but the lamp lit up brightly. Lan Qilan's face changed and couldn't resist saying, Sect leader, only one sliver of spirit will is needed to light up the lamp. Why? Before Lan Qilan could finish, the purple-robed woman said coldly, Qilan, you've made many mistakes. If you do so again, then go to the prison door mountain. Yes, sect leader. Lan Qilan bowed with a pale face. The purple-robed woman then looked at Mu Xiaoyan. You're now the saint of a mortal goddess sacred sect. You can't go back to Lanyi Peak. Stay at Immortal Range Peak. Yes, sect leader. Mu Xiaoyan's heart was cold. How could she not know now that if she resisted, her master would be thrown into the prison door sect? Without her master, she would have long been killed already. Seeing Mu Xiaoyan agree, the purple-robed woman's face eased. She looked at Yunhui and said the previous saint is still stuck in the god necropolis domain. You and Ruizai go have a look. Yes, sect leader. Yunhui bowed, and another blue-robed woman bowed too. Master, is Xiaoyan okay? Luo Blaiu asked immediately when they returned to Lanyi Peak. Mu Xiaoyan was already like a sister to her. She didn't want anything bad to happen to Mu Xiaoyan. Lan Qilan sighed and shook her head. Xiaoyan is fine for now, but I always have a bad feeling. It's definitely the sect leader's will for Xiaoyan to be saint. As for what the sect leader wants Xiaoyan to do, I don't know. Sigh. One only needed a sliver of spirit will for the soul lamp, but the sect leader took half of Xiaoyan's soul. Lan Qilan felt this thing was very strange, but she couldn't think of why. Luo Bua was shocked. People had 3 souls and 7 spirits. If half a soul was gone, it meant that the soul was incomplete. One couldn't asterisk achieve Tao through this. How could the saint of a mortal goddess, sacred sect, not vindicate Tao? Even if Master didn't respond, she realized that Mu Xiaoyan was not the real saint. She was just a temporary substitute. Such sect dared to call itself Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect. It was insult to these words. There was nothing her master could know and nothing she could do. She could only pray that Mu Xiaoyan would be fine. In the god necropolis domain, 10,000 kilometers from Yi Mo's solitary cultivation grounds, there was an extremely huge. Even spirit sense couldn't scan to the bottom of this fist print. There were Tao waves ravaging in the fist print. People can easily be torn to pieces by the Tao waves. Those who came to the god Necropolis domain all knew that this fist was punched out by an ancient primordial essence divine emperor. In the depth of the fist print, there was a pond filled with purple water, and above the pond floated a woman with broken yellow robes. If Yemo was here, he would recognize her to the immortal range who fought the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. Her chi was very weak and seemed about to die at any time. But the purple well water below her rose up purple chi that enveloped her. Her chi was getting weaker, but her heavily injured body was getting smoother. The wounds left by the battle were already gone. Eventually, the purple chi dimmed to a stop. When the purple chi completely disappeared, the life force of this woman disappeared. A few seconds later, her life force suddenly rose. The woman flipped up and stood in the air of the colorless pond. She murmured, "Where is this? How did I get here?" She soon realized she was in rags and quickly put on a new set of clothes. After this, she exclaimed in shock, "How come I don't sense the divine sect soul lamp? What is going on?" She looked at her white hand in even more shock. She moved, and the nearby space was taken away. "There's no connection to the soul lamp, but my cultivation level reach, Tao, Nourishment Divine Emperor. What is going on?" She stood dazedly in the void. She walked over the pond and landed on the side as she recollected her memories. Before, she battled the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, and they were both injured. Then, both of them saw an immortal emperor peak stage who was the one she didn't help before. That immortal emperor wanted to be the ultimate hunter behind them, so she used that idiot immortal emperor to escape. Then, she came to the primordial essence fist ditch. She wanted to fly over it, but she was too heavily injured and was brought inside by the Tao waves. Luckily, her protection laws around her were activated and let her survive. She was swept by a nearby space whirlpool and floated above a purple pond. Right, the purple pond turned her into this. What pond water could let her go from Tao Molding Divine Emperor straight to Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor? It also washed off everything related to the divine sect on her. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2043 Tao Mark Shenanigan. 2043 Tao Mark Shenanigan. Yemo stood on the god Necropolis domain surface again. The nearby ancient chi gave him less shock, but Yemo felt his chi was strange. In the Golden Page world, he was definitely Tao Molding Divine Emperor, but in the god Necropolis domain, he felt his chi was still at a mortal emperor peak stage. It was a most half-divine. Yemo was certain that he didn't stealth his cultivation method, but his cultivation level showed at Immortal Emperor. Was the Tao he vindicated inside the Golden Page world not recognized by the outside world? In a shock, Yemo raised his hand and punched out. Fist God Art Void. This was his earliest god art and had a sliver of space law. Before, he could brought about the space lethal force with killing intent, but now, all the space was brought up in the fist force and the sharp killing intent gathered in the space. Thud! The sturdy space was punched out ripples, but this punch. The sturdy ground was punched out a huge ravine. This punch was no longer killing intent, brining out space lethal force, but fist force bringing about space. This was far stronger than before. Yemo breathed easy. Although his chi showed at Immortal Emperor, his cultivation level was completely a real Tao Molding Divine Emperor. As long as his cultivation level was there, it was fine for Yemo. Without the actual power, it was pointless even if he appeared to be Primordial Essence Divine Emperor. 2 hours later, Yemo stood before a huge fist ditch. He was extremely shocked. Ever since he vindicated Tao, he had a systematic understanding of laws. His god art was changing into a law god art, and he punched out a huge ditch as well. This fist ditch was countless times bigger than his. His spirit sense couldn't even scan to the bottom. He didn't even know how big this fist hole was. Yemo had seen many battle marks, and one's more terrifying than this one outside the god Necropolis domain. But Yemo knew that the space here was more than 100 times stronger, and so was the ground. What shocked him the most wasn't instant second size, but the terrifying Tao wave chi inside. Even with his Tao molding divine emperor spirit sense, it was grinded immediately. To be able to leave such terrifying fist hole and such terrifying Tao wave, this person was more than 100 times stronger than him. Yimo's join of vindicating Tao was long gone. He didn't know if this was left behind by primordial essence divine emperor or not. If it really was, then the terror of primordial essence divine emperor was unimaginable. One can actually cultivate to such extent and leave such a terrifying fist hole in the god necropolis domain. If it was outside, couldn't one punch destroy half the broken divine Tao realm? Yimo murmured. After saying this, Yimo seemed to have grasped something, but this thing was very subtle, making it hard for him to completely grasp it. Insolent. A cold voice sounded. And then a yellow figure rose out of the fist hole. It's you. Yimo took a few steps back and stared at her with vigilance. She knew this woman. She was the Tao molding divine emperor, who fought with that Tao nourishment divine emperor. She was now a Tao nourishment divine emperor too. There was a sliver of shock in her eyes as she said coldly, I didn't expect a mere immortal emperor like you can not only survive in the god necropolis domain, but also escape a Tao nourishment divine emperor. I underestimated you. Although she said this coldly, her voice was extremely pleasant. She guessed that Yimo had a lot of secret, but she didn't ask. Who here didn't have secrets? Those who didn't have secrets have long turned to dust in the river of time. Yimo just stared at her coldly and said nothing. Despite this woman being extremely pretty, he knew she wasn't easy to mess with. When she was still a Tao molding divine emperor, she could fight to death with a Tao nourishment divine emperor. Now that she was Tao nourishment divine emperor, who knows if she could match with Tao actualization divine emperor. Plus, his spirit sense was immediately grinded, nothing inside, but she could fly out of the fist hole. Just from this, she was stronger than him. Yimo had never fought with Tao actualization divine emperor, but he knew that it was probably a bit hard for him to beat a Tao actualization divine emperor, but it wasn't easy for Tao actualization divine emperor to beat him either. On the account of what happened before, I'll tell you something. I said you were insolent as you don't know what this place was when this punch landed. When this punch landed, this place was still the hardest place in the divine Tao realm. It was 10 times harder than now. The immortal range said coldly. Yimo knew that she meant on the account of using him to escape before. However, he was still shocked by what she said. The space was 10 times tougher than now? What notion was that? That punch wouldn't even be something he could fathom. If you dare to go in the fist hole, the Tao waves could kill you at any time. Then, the immortal range was turning to leave. Wait! Yimo suddenly stopped her. The immortal range stopped and looked at Yimo calmly. I'm saying this because you happen to help me a little bit. If you think that's saving my life and want to use that against me, then I suggest you give up that thought. Even without you, that person wouldn't be able to kill him. Yimo said, use that against you? You think too highly of yourself. I just want to ask, what's the way out? If you tell me, then I won't care about you using me before. Won't care? The immortal range shook her head. Don't even think about going out. Coming in the god necropolis domain is for vindicating primordial essence. If you don't reach primordial essence divine emperor, no one wants to go out and no one can go out. The immortal range said calmly. Yimo frowned, and she added, those divine emperors who came in here and didn't die would go to the outskirts of the life-crippling barren restriction. Some of them have gone in. If you have the guys to go, you can ask them. I've only been in here for a few decades. But on the way to the life-crippling barren restriction, there's law Tao waves everywhere. Some are calm, but some are lethal. Countless divine emperors have died on the way there. Her last sentence was clearly to warn Yimo not to go, as he was only an immortal emperor. Where is it? What she didn't expect was that Yimo still asked how to go. The immortal range looked at Yimo speechlessly. She said it so obviously, but Yimo still wanted to know how to go there. You really want to go there? The immortal range repeated. That's right. Tell me where it is, and our conflict is gone. Otherwise, Even when you vindicate Tao essence, you will feel bad as you used an innocent person and almost got him killed. Yemo said. She had never even cared about using Yemo. She didn't care at all if Yemo died. But now it was different. Yemo brought this up and said it might affect her Tao essence. This was very sly. She didn't care about it at all and definitely wouldn't remember it at Tao essence. But now that Yemo said it, her mindset might actually crack a little due to this. This might ruin her Tao essence. For the first time, she looked at Yemo seriously. Without a clear understanding of great Tao, he wouldn't be able to say this. Only those who vindicated Tao and understood Tao vindication would say this. Was Yemo a Tao nourishment divine emperor too and just hid his power? The more she thought about it, the more she felt it was possible. Otherwise, how could he escape from a Tao nourishment divine emperor? I told you a lot before, just because we've had a common enemy. You might have casually helped me, but I don't feel you owe me anything. The immortal range said coldly. She must not leave a mark in her heart due to this. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. "2044 Primal Stage, Sword Tao." 2044 Primal Stage, Sword Tao. Yemo smiled. Playing Tao mark shenanigans with me. Even if you're Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, you're still a far cry from me. Yemo said calmly, because you used me. You feel guilty, that's why you said a lot. In fact, your words didn't help me at all. It just wasted some time. You used me. It's a small thing to you, but it's life or death to me. If I wasn't lucky, I would be dead now. You need to know that you were the one who was supposed to die. The immortal goddess's face went pale. She knew she couldn't keep talking now. This thing has already left an extremely deep mark in her heart. If she didn't remove this mark, she definitely wouldn't be able to reach Tao essence. The road to life crippling barren restriction is very far. Even if a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor comes in, there's less than half chance that they can reach there. It's not that I don't want to tell you where it is, but even I don't know where it is. The immortal goddess said. Yemo dazed. He thought that the reason she argued with him till now was because she doesn't want to tell him where it is. In the end, she actually didn't know. Why didn't she say it earlier? Are you not going to life crippling barren restriction? Yemo asked in disappointment. If she wasn't going, he would leave immediately. I'm going to the life crippling barren restriction. The immortal goddess said helplessly. Yemo sneered. You just told me you didn't know where it is, and now you're telling me you're going there. Ha! Your immortal goddess sacred sect is such a trash sect? Full of lies. The immortal goddess's face sunk. If you dare to say anything else about the immortal goddess sacred sect, I will kill you here. Yemo laughed and raised his hand. Zisu appeared in his hand, and he also said, if you want to fight, then fight. Would I be scared of a woman like you? The immortal goddess didn't fight. Yemo could escape from that Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, and she felt things were strange. But if Yemo stealthed his cultivation level, why did he keep asking her about the life-crippling barren restriction? All those who vindicated Tao in the god Necropolis domain can feel the calling of the god Necropolis domain. You're a mere immortal emperor. Of course you can't sense it. Feeling its call doesn't mean you know where it is. Some people have felt its calling and haven't been able to get there after a few hundred years. The immortal goddess said calmly. Hearing this, Yemo's face blushed. He vindicated Tao in the Golden Page world. No wonder he couldn't feel the calling of the life-crippling barren restriction. Are you going to the life-crippling barren restriction? Yemo put away Zisu and asked casually. Seeing this, the immortal goddess got less angrier and answered yes. Very well, I will follow you. After we get there, the conflict between us will be over. You can cast aside the burden and reach your Tao essence divine emperor. Yemo immediately said. Yemo then added, as long as you're heading towards the life-crippling barren restriction, even if I'm killed by the Tao waves of the god Necropolis domain, it has nothing to do with you, and our conflict will also be gone. The immortal goddess ignored Yemo and started to go. She didn't believe a mere immortal emperor can keep up with her. If something happened to Yemo on the way, she definitely wouldn't help. Yemo knew what she was thinking, of course, but he didn't care. She went very fast and didn't even care about some of the Tao waves. For hours later, she stopped and looked coldly at Yemo. You're a Tao vindication divine emperor, and yet you act as an immortal emperor. You're following me with such low means. Don't you think it's shameless? If you're thinking of getting close to me in such way, I'm telling you, it won't work. Since Yemo could keep up to her, he definitely wasn't an immortal emperor. In that case, Yemo can definitely sense the calling of the life-crippling barren restriction. Since he knows how to get there and still wanted to follow her, he was clearly doing this on purpose. Since Yemo didn't know what treasure she had, he came for her. Yemo sneered, "You're not the princess you think you are. I heard the women from Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect aren't very talkative. Why do you have so much shit to say? Just lead the way. Any of my wives are prettier than you." The Immortal Goddess was almost shaking with anger. Luckily, she still had reason and just ignored Yemo as she sped up. 3 days later, she stopped. Before her was this land of pebble stones filled with death. There was a long single-edged sword rune and a long double-edged sword rune crossed together. The heaven-covering Tao wave was emanating murderous intent. It made the already lifeless place more suffocating. As soon as the two walked in, the pebbles on the stone immediately turned to dust. The Immortal Goddess came up to the doubled-edged sword rune and sat down. Yemo knew that she wanted to learn the god art there. He went to the single-edged sword rune and sat down. Even if she didn't sit down, Yemo would sit down to feel the sword Tao waves. If she didn't want to wait for him, he would use words to make her. Yemo devoured waves of Tao runes. He saw a huge man waving the sword ray in his hand. The sword ray sliced a crack in the void. Meanwhile, his opponent pierced out a double-edged sword. It seemed very plain, but it could stop that heaven-tearing single-edged sword ray. Yemo gradually learned the sword Tao Chi and even forgot he was still learning it. The next moment, that deep sword mark on the ground turned into a true sword mark god art. At this moment, the Immortal Goddess suddenly felt a sword mark slice from the void at her forehead. In this desperation, her will brought out the sword while on the ground and smashed against the sword mark. The clear sound of swords clashing appeared. The sword mark turned into all sorts of sword beams, while the double-edged sword will turned into countless sword chi. The sword beams and sword chi clashed together, turning all the pebbles to nothing. The sturdy black ground was carved with sword marks. At this moment, Yemo and the Immortal Goddess didn't know this at all. They were immersed in this slaughter and didn't dare to let loose at all. It was as if that if they let loose for one moment, they would be killed. Yemo felt that he had too many sword marks, but it couldn't stop the sword chi. Suddenly, the scene of him killed the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor appeared in his sea of consciousness. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was killed by the Great Primordial God Rune. What if he fused the two Great Primordial God Rune into his sword mark? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2045 Vindicate God AR. 2045 Vindicate God AR. Yemo was immersed in this enlightenment of Sword Tao. When he thought of the two great primordial god runes, he immediately started to fuse it. But no matter what Yemo did, the two great primordial god runes wouldn't fuse into the sword mark. Yemo derived his own god art, cultivation method, and even Tao. He immediately knew what was going on. The great primordial god rune god art and the sword mark god art he learned himself weren't on the same level. The level of the great primordial god rune was too high. His newly learned sword mark was good, but a far cry from the great primordial god rune. After giving up this idea, Yemo immediately felt his sword mark change. His newly learned sword mark god art didn't fuse into the great primordial god rune, but it was inspired by the great primordial god rune. It now had some ripple shape too. It wasn't big, but the ripple would sweep over the nearby lethal force with each pulse. Rumble. The rippled-shaped sword mark smashed on the sword chi. Her sword chi dispersed, and the powerful killing intent made her unable to keep learning. A blood light flashed across her chest. She was hacked away a few thousand km before barely being able to stand. She woke up from the enlightenment and stared at her bloody chest in shock. She even forgot to heal herself. She was just learning Sword Dao and knew the change in the sword mark very clearly, just like how Yi Mo knew her Sword Dao change clearly. Before, the two swords were equally matched, but later on, the single-edged sword mark suddenly changed and formed a ripple-shaped sword rune. That sword rune seemed to be able to distort space. It gathered the space-lethal force in an eerie way and smashed over. After that, her sword chi could no longer stop the sword mark and she was smashed out. She was heavily injured too. She knew that this had nothing much to do with cultivation level, but since EMO could injure her, clearly he was no ordinary person. Just what was the sword rune that made it become so ferocious? EMO didn't feel guilty injuring her at all. He was using her to learn God art, but so was she. Even if he was killed, she probably wouldn't feel guilty. Yemo deeply felt the power of this sword rune. At this moment, he closed his eyes and learned the sword rune God art. That last ripple rune was learned from the great primordial God rune. He would name it Falling Mark Sword Rune. Although he only had one rune for it now, the Falling Mark Sword Rune would be complete when runes fell like flower petals. Yemo opened his eyes and looked at the immortal goddess and saluted with his fists. "Sorry, I accidentally injured you there." The immortal goddess didn't care at all if Yemo was genuinely apologizing. She just stared at Yemo in shock. What was that sword rune God art? It definitely wasn't learned here. Great Primordial God Rune was one of his lethal moves. Yemo wasn't going to tell people so easily. He said ___S, something I came up with on the spot. It's nothing. Nothing can hurt her? Immortal Goddess didn't care about Yemo's conflicting words. She suddenly said, "I can take you to the life, crippling barren restriction, but one thing. If I see a Dao wave God art I need to learn on the way, you must attack and help me." She felt Yemo's powerful learning capabilities. The reason she was the saint of the immortal goddess sacred sect was because her learning capabilities were unparalleled. With her powerful learning capabilities, she still lost to Yemo. One could see that Yemo's learning capabilities were larger than hers. Not just that, after Yemo learned the sword mark, he fused what his own thing into it and hacked out that extremely terrifying sword rune. She had never seen such insane learning capability. If someone like this helped her learn, she would go much further. She would also be able to find her weaknesses easier. Yemo thought this was perfect. She needed someone to attack her, but so did he. Yemo nodded, "Of course, but I have a condition too. If I stop to learn God art, you must wait for me." "Okay." The immortal goddess agreed without hesitation. Even if Yemo didn't want her to wait, she would still wait. Such a good opponent was hard to find. After the two left, the sword mark and rune disappeared slowly. On the way, the two encountered many Dao waves and law God art. After learning it, they fought each other without hesitation. The both of them knew clearly that they were fighting for real. If the other was killed, then too bad. The two encountered all sorts of God arts and even Buddhist Great Palm God arts. Their cultivation level grew rapidly. Due to fighting, the two were injured many times. Yemo didn't show mercy, and the immortal goddess was very fierce in her attacks. Luckily, Yemo had the chaos tree, so he would rapidly heal back. Seeing Yemo heal back so quickly every time, the immortal goddess knew Yemo had a great secret, but Yemo never asked about her secret. She never asked about Yemo's. The god Necropolis domain was boundless, and they didn't even have a direction to the life, crippling barren restriction, but both of them weren't in a rush. They were learning God arts and practicing them. They would reveal their Dao wave laws from time to time to make learning and correcting their God art easier. At this time, both of them wouldn't use lethal blows. This never-before method of practicing allowed their cultivation level and God art to progress rapidly. Both of them felt their weaknesses from each other and wanted to learn more from each other. The immortal goddess came from a mortal goddess sacred sect and had been taught by powerful beings at a young age. Her cultivation method heritage came step by step, and the foundation was very big. Yemo understood a lot of things through fighting with her. Compared to Yemo, the immortal goddess learned even more. Yemo's cultivation and god art came from the understanding of the three-birth chant. The three-birth chant god art and Tao waves would be shown on Yemo's god art. This was pretty much opening another world to the immortal goddess. Black Lake? The immortal goddess stopped and looked at this pitch-black lake. She had been walking with Yemo in the god Necropolis domain for half a year. Yemo saw that this immortal goddess was always very calm and never spoke other than fighting. Even if she learned a god art, it would just be some slight joy. But today, it was Yemo's first time seeing her so shocked. What's the Black Lake? Yemo asked strangely. There was not a single drop of water in this lake. It was extremely black, and the banks of the lake were cracked open. It said that the Black Lake is transformed from two magic artifacts. Two primordial essence, divine emperors died here together. Two prenatal spirit artifacts that were just below chaos artifacts were locked here and turned to the Black Lake. Some say that it's not prenatal spirit artifact locked here, but postnal spirit artifact. Immortal Goddess said. Yemo was very shocked. He knew that chaos artifacts were like his chaos tree and golden page world. His bitter bamboo was only prenatal spirit artifact, but now there were two prenatal spirit artifacts trapped. Yemo didn't care about magic artifact, but prenatal spirit artifacts were different. He didn't even want to let it go if it was postnal spirit artifact. God artifacts were powerful, but it could be forged. He had never heard anyone forge postnatal spirit artifact. What treasure is it? Yemo asked Immortal Goddess. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. (2046) Black Lake. 2046 Black Lake. The Immortal Goddess looked at Yemo plainly and said, "Don't tell me you want to take the two magic artifacts here? Do you know how many Tao Essence Divine Emperors have come here, but these two magic artifacts remained here? The only change is that the Black Lake shrunk by a third. Is this a legend too?" Yemo stared at the Black Lake and asked. If it was before, the Immortal Goddess wouldn't answer this. But now they were using each other. In this half year, her cultivation level had been rising straight up, so when Yemo asked, she nodded. "That's right, ancient legend." Yemo laughed before. "You told me that the legend said those who went in the God Necropolis domain never went out. If you come in God Necropolis domain, you can only stay in here forever. Since no one went out, where did the Black Lake legend come from?" She couldn't beat Yemo in a battle of words, or she wouldn't have lost to Yemo before in the Tao Mark shenanigan. She fell silent for a while and said, "It said that the Black Lake is formed by a 3-treasure primordial essence gourd and 36 lightning sea god orbs. The 36 orbs locked the gourd and turned into the Black Lake." What? Yemo was very shocked. He didn't know other things, but he knew the lightning sea god orbs too well. He got 12 in the cultivation realm and gave it to his daughter. He then got 24 in the immortal realm, but these 24 were different. The first set of 12 was the same as the ones in the immortal realm, but the 12 he got in the Abyssal River Lightning Kill Palace was completely different. It had a vast and powerful chi with devastating lightning lethal force. At that moment, Yemo knew that the ones he got before were fake, but the ones he got from the palace were real. There were only 36 orbs. If he got 12 real ones, how could there be 36 orbs here? Yemo looked at the Black Lake again. It did look like a gourd indeed. The Black Lake had always been in the God Necropolis domain, but it's said to constantly change position. Not everyone who comes in is lucky enough to encounter it. There's also many god art and restriction Tao waves in the lake, so it's a fortune. Then, the Immortal Goddess sat down next to the lake and started learning the Tao waves. Yemo didn't do this. He jumped into the bottom of the lake without hesitation. The Tao wave laws there were extremely powerful, but after fighting with the Immortal Goddess all this time, Yemo could face it. He jumped to the bottom not for the Tao waves, but for the 36 orbs. When he got the 12 fake orbs, Yimo was so happy. If he got the 36 real ones, Yimo would be overjoyed. As soon as Yimo jumped in, he felt all sorts of Tao wave lethal force as well as a whirlpool force suck him and drag him to the bottom of the lake. Yimo wanted to check the bottom of the lake, so he didn't resist this suction force. He just shielded his entire body. The immortal goddess saw Yimo really jumping in and was dazed. Moments later, she realized that Yimo was after the 2 spirit artifacts. She hesitated for a brief moment and jumped down too. On the way here, although she didn't say it, but she extremely admired Yimo. His learning capabilities were far stronger than her and dealt with things in much smarter ways. Since Yimo dared to jump in, it meant he had a way. If she followed him closely, she might be able to get a prenatal spirit artifact too. Who didn't like such treasure? It would increase her power by many times. But as soon as she jumped down, the immortal goddess noticed something wrong. She could block the law lethal force here, but there were whirlpools sweeping at her from the bottom of the lake. She couldn't resist at all and could only take out a powerful magic artifact to protect herself. This black lake didn't seem deep, but the suction force was endless. The two had been spinning for many hours but still didn't reach the bottom. The immortal goddess began to regret. She had a few top defense magic artifact, but it wasn't some prenatal spirit artifact. It wasn't even extreme gray god artifact. Later on, the suction force grew very strong and the bottom of the lake shot out lightning. These lightnings were extremely ferocious. Even with her defense magic artifact empowered by her god essence, it was making cracking sounds. Crack! 2 bolts finally pierced her defense magic artifact and smashed on her body. A large part of her robes were torn, bringing out bloody mist. The immortal goddess was extremely shocked. She began to regret. During the half-year of fighting with Yimo, she felt that her cultivation level was no weaker than Yimo, maybe even a bit stronger, but now she almost couldn't hold on. Her spirit sense scanned Yimo. He wasn't far from her, but when she saw Yimo casually let the lightning hit him, she realized she was being overconfident. This immortal emperor-looking guy had too many means. He was probably a lightning element body refinement cultivator. To be able to block such lightning, his body refinement cultivation would be at least immortal god body peak. Thinking about this, the immortal goddess took in a cold breath. This person hid so much power. Splurge! Another bolt struck her, and her ribs sprayed bloody mist again. At this moment, she couldn't care about anything and waved out a 9-petal lotus stage. This stage emitted blue light that instantly wrapped around her. The lightning at the bottom grew denser and fiercer, but when striking the stage, it only created some blue beams. Yimo knew she was in trouble, but he didn't want to help. She clearly followed him for the spirit treasure. It was limited. If he saved her, he would lose some. Even if he were to save her, it would be when she had no power to spirit control the prenatal spirit treasure. Now that she released this lotus stand, Yimo immediately recognized that it was what she used when she fled. Its worth was no lower than a prenatal spirit treasure. Perhaps it was a prenatal spirit treasure. The immortal goddess sat in the stand and breathed slowly. She had never released the lotus stand in this half-year fighting Yimo, but now she exposed it. It was her secret, her greatest acquisition in the god necropolis domain. Its defenses were amazing, but it also had offensive and escape effects. She still hasn't completely spirit-controlled it up until now. This definitely wasn't some ordinary thing. It was something no weaker than a prenatal spirit treasure. But now, she exposed her treasure before even getting the prenatal spirit treasure. She didn't know if Yimo would greed after her magic artifact, but if Yimo did, she would fight with her life for it. Yimo didn't have the time to greed after it. He had too many good things. He was now busy refining his lightning sword. The Golden Page world was his, so his breakthrough didn't have any divine damnation. He lost the chance to refine Lightning Sword. Lightning Sword was his earliest magic art. It was far from a god art, but it gave birth to a few god art. The 5 Lightning Spear Destruction and Lightning Sand all came from Lightning Sword. Yimo had just begun refining it, and then his foot hit solid ground. He was at the bottom of the lake, but that terrifying suction power wasn't gone. However, it just couldn't move him at all. The bottom was filled with murderous and chaotic Law Dao waves. With these striking Yimo, even his body started to bleed. Yimo's heart sunk. He couldn't barely even stay alive here, much less find the prenatal spirit treasure. His powerful spirit sense and body refinement can only protect him for now. No wonder there was no bones at the bottom. Even the toughest bones would disappear in a place like this. The immortal goddess's lotus stand landed at the bottom too. She scanned her spirit sense out immediately, but the terrifying, chaotic law chi instantly grinded her spirit sense into nothing. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2047-1 each. 2047-1 each. Yimo's spirit sense couldn't be released outside, but he was in a much better state than the immortal goddess. At least he didn't need to go in the golden page world. Yimo knew that with the situation here, even if he wanted to spirit control a magic artifact, he would have to set up a formation first to block the chaotic Law Dao waves. At least part of it. Yimo started to set up formation flags. The immortal goddess didn't know what Yimo was doing. She could only hide in her lotus stand. She had a mean to escape, but that was just escape. She was very shocked that Yimo could stand at the bottom of the lake without using any defense magic artifact. Yimo threw out formation flags, and the nearby violent killing intent and lightning grew less. At this moment, the immortal goddess scanned with her spirit sense for the second time and immediately noticed what happened. She came out of the lotus stand. "You're actually a formation grandmaster." She could tell that Yimo's formations were beyond ordinary immortal formations. She was truly shocked. She knew that Yimo didn't understand a lot of things. To be honest, Yimo probably got a very insane cultivation method and reached here purely by himself. Yet, it was already extremely shocking for a person like Yimo to reach immortal god body, but now he was a top formation grandmaster. This was unheard of. Any of these two things would cost a lifetime. Yimo glanced at her and said nothing. He still continued his formation setup. After the block, some of the chaotic laws and lightning, the bottom of the lake cleared up slowly. 2 golden bone arrows were scattered at 2 corners. Yimo almost exclaimed seeing these 2 golden bone arrows and immediately grabbed at one. The immortal goddess also saw this. Without thinking, she grabbed at one too. There were all sorts of chaotic Dao waves here and terrifying lightning. Under such cruel conditions, the 2 bone arrows were still perfect. Clearly, they weren't ordinary. They were probably from one divine emperor. When Yimo grabbed one, the immortal goddess grabbed the other. "Give that bone arrow to me." Yimo immediately knew it was the golden bone arrow he was looking for. The immortal goddess sneered, "Why should I give something I grabbed to you? Don't say that you set up the formations there. We said we were collaborating. If I didn't take you to the Black Lake, you wouldn't even be able to come here." Yimo dazed. In his impression, the immortal goddess was no match for him in arguments. It had only been half a year. How did she become so good? Seeing Yimo unable to rebut, the immortal goddess felt a little happy. Half a year ago, Yimo almost gave her a sliver of Dao mark in her heart. She had been thinking about this problem. A month ago, she found the real answer. If she just said that Yimo stayed there to take benefits from them, she didn't know Yimo anything. However, she didn't think of this at the time. A month later, she thought of it, but she didn't want Yimo to leave. After all, she learned a lot from Yimo, plus, as soon as she grabbed this bone arrow, she knew its origin. How could she give it to Yimo? Yimo saluted with his fists. "My name is Yimo. I've come with you all this way, and we've learned from each other." "Thank you. What's your name?" The immortal goddess's face was calm. She could tell that Yimo really cared about the arrow. It was quite possible that the golden bow of divine extermination was in his hands. Just where did he get all these good things? Even if the golden bow of divine extermination was in Yimo's hands, she didn't want to give the arrow to Yimo so easily. The value of golden bow of divine extermination was too precious. Even if her sect got it, it would be a huge benefit. We're just using each other. You don't need to ask for my name. After we get to the life-crippling restriction ground, then we have nothing to do with each other. The immortal goddess said calmly, "You know that if I take the formation flags away from here, you can only hide in your lotus stand. If you give me the bone arrow, I promise to take you up." Yemo promised. The immortal goddess couldn't even be bothered answering. She took out a rune and said, "You don't need to worry. I can go out at any time, but you should think about how to get out yourself." Yemo's face was bad. She had this rune to escape, but he didn't. Even if he wasn't scared of these lightning, could he escape these whirlpools? Yemo thought about what he could use to exchange for that bone arrow. Yemo also started to study the bottom of this lake. Although it was pitch black, it was much smaller than the surface area of the top. Yemo released Zissou and hacked at the dark bottom. Zissou didn't leave any marks on it. So tough. Yemo was shocked. It said that the Black Lake is formed from the 3-treasure primordial essence gourd. If a mere half-god artifact can hack it open, it wouldn't be this famous. The immortal goddess saw Yemo's naive actions and said. Yemo ignored her. Since this was a magic artifact, he would find a way to spirit control the core. "You can check here. I'm not going to stay," the immortal goddess said. She used her rune. The rune even enveloped her in yellow light, and the next moment, she flew out from the bottom of the lake. The immortal goddess was scared that Yemo would suddenly take away the formation and trap her in the lotus stand. Although she could leave in the lotus stand, but she would need to use another defense rune. She didn't want to waste it. "I don't believe I can't get to life-crippling restriction grounds without you," Yemo said. He knew from what she said that she saw through the Tao mark he left her. But even so, Yemo didn't care. There might be 2 prenatal spirit treasures here. Yemo didn't want to give them up. After she left, Yemo didn't follow. He had decided to spirit control these 2 treasures. To do that, he needed to find the entrance to the core of the magic artifact. It was very dangerous trying to spirit control these sealed magic artifact, as one might be devoured by the magic artifact too. Yemo wasn't scared because he had the golden page world. He threw out a few more formation flags. Although he couldn't completely seal the Tao wave Kais, there weren't much chaotic law Kais anymore. Small ginseng, check with your spirit sense. See if you can find the core of this gourd. We're probably at the opening to the gourd. Yemo sound transmission to small ginseng. Small ginseng had an instinct to natural formations. Since this gourd was a prenatal spirit treasure, it was something natural too. "Boss, we're not at the entrance to the Algord. We're at the center," Small ginseng said. "How do you know?" Yemo asked. Small ginseng immediately said, "I have this natural instinct to natural spirit items. This gourd is definitely natural. So this means this gourd really is a prenatal spirit treasure?" Yemo rejoiced. Small ginseng quickly said, "I don't know if it is a primary stage, but this gourd was reforged before becoming this." Yemo was very satisfied. He just needed to open the blockage in the middle and land at the entrance. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. (2048) Whose spirit controls faster. 2048 whose spirit controls faster. A day later, Yemo's formation was broken by the chaotic Tao laws. He went around a few times at this place and didn't find any marks. He used all sorts of ways, whether it was smashing with the world rock or magic artifact or burning with fire. They were all ineffective. But Yemo didn't want to give up like this. He set up another defense formation and started searching again. A day passed again, seeing that his defense formation was about to be broken again. Yemo sighed. No wonder these 2 prenatal spirit treasures stayed here for this long. Crack! The formation flag made a slight sound, and Yemo knew his formation was about to shatter. The formation flags corresponded to each other. If one formation flag completely broke, then the rest would be smashed by the chaotic Tao laws. Just when Yemo wanted to give up, that lotus stand came from down. Yemo immediately knew that the immortal goddess came back again. Yemo knew that she definitely came down for these two magic artifacts. She was scared that he would take it all for himself. He had made up his mind that he must get this bone arrow. He didn't like robbing other people's things, but the golden bone arrow was a set. He had to gather it all. This immortal goddess had far less experience than him. Perhaps he could trick it over. As soon as Lotus Stand came down, the immortal goddess came out. Yemo saw her change a set of clothes, but there was still blood seeping out of her clothes. Her state was wittier and chi very unstable. Yemo knew she was heavily injured. The same time he found she was injured, Yemo thought of something. Before, he wasn't confident in taking her out, but now he was. There's no point in killing me. A Tao actualization divine emperor has chased here. If we don't work together, you will die too. Yemo was furious. This woman led a powerful foe to him. Before Yemo could rage, she threw the golden bone arrow to Yemo. You can have this bone arrow, but you must fend off the enemy with me. I have an extremely powerful Tao bead. It can heavily injure him. You just need to attack when he's heavily injured. If you kill that Tao actualization divine emperor, I just want a blue bottle. The rest is yours. Yemo's anger finally appeased a bit. The golden bone arrow was the most important. He had 6 arrows now in total. He wondered if the arrows he got from the Lightning Kill Palace were from here. Thinking about this, Yemo suddenly had an idea. He got a dagger at the palace. In order to dig this gourd, he used everything but the dagger. He remembered that after spirit controlling the dagger, it had a name called Melt Space. Thinking about this, Yemo took out the dagger and dug at the hard ground. Screech! Melt Space was like digging through tofu. Everywhere it went past, the materials melted and soon a black hole was formed. Yemo jumped in the hole. The immortal goddess saw this and woke up from her shock. She jumped in without hesitation. At this moment, Yemo's formation finale cracked apart. The chaotic chi filled this place again. That huge hole Yemo opened with Melt Space closed again. By the looks of it, it would close up to what it was before in just a few seconds. Before the hole could recover, another figure landed here. He had a pale face. The nearby chi struck his body, like it was striking a powerful magic artifact. It couldn't hurt him at all. Even the lightning couldn't do any damage to him. Where did that immortal goddess sacred sect girl go? She clearly ran here. Even if she was killed by the laws here, her lotus stand should still be here. Suddenly, he stopped talking as he saw the fist-sized hole. Seeing this, he dashed towards the hole without hesitation. He had heard of the Black Lake, of course, and knew what it was. He immediately guessed that the way to spirit control it was in the black hole. When Yemo and the immortal goddess came in, that pulling feeling from whirlpools were gone. There was no lightning, just a grayish space. Moments later, that man came in the hole too. Yemo and the immortal goddess both sensed it. They sped up, running towards the entrance of the gourd. The man arrived later but was faster than Yemo and the immortal goddess. He charged towards the entrance first. He couldn't care about them too. He wanted to charge to the entrance and spirit control this prenatal spirit treasure. Yemo was worried. He threw out a few pills to the immortal goddess and said, "Hurry up and heal. I need to speed up." Yemo had to help her. Even if he got to the gourd entrance alone, he would be no match for that man. The two had to work together to fight that man. Otherwise, he would have to leave. Yemo didn't want to give up the lightning orbs he was about to get. The immortal goddess didn't reject this at all. Yemo burned his god essence to speed up. 5 minutes later, Yemo and the immortal goddess landed at the entrance. They immediately saw the man sitting on the side. He was holding a rune with one hand. Clearly, he was starting to spirit control the 3 treasure primordial essence gourd. Yemo was furious. He was the one who opened this place up. Just when he wanted to attack, he saw 24 lightning surrounded orbs at the border of the entrance. There was 36 spots, but only 24 remained. Yemo rejoiced. He charged up to spirit control these 24 lightning orbs immediately. He knew why the man didn't go for the lightning orbs first, as 12 was missing. Even if he spirit controlled it, it wouldn't be a complete magic artifact. Perhaps he also thought that when he spirit controlled this gourd, he could easily kill them. The immortal goddess had pretty much recovered now. Seeing the man's spirit control the gourd and Yemo's spirit control the lightning orbs, she actually had nothing to do. Just when she was thinking about if she should spirit control a few lightning orbs and exchange things from Yemo suddenly sound transmission to her, "Hurry up and go out." If this guy's spirit controlled the gourd, none of us would get away. We're all inside the gourd. The middle of the gourd is sealed. How do I get out? The immortal goddess said. Yemo threw the dagger to her, "Hurry up and spirit control part of this dagger, and then slice off the middle of the gourd. Don't stay here. I think that barrier at the middle is definitely very important. It must be a crucial part to the gourd. If you cut it away, even if this bastard spirit controls the gourd, he wouldn't be able to trap me." Hearing this, she knew time was of the essence. She immediately grabbed the dagger and went back while whining about why Yemo didn't do this himself. She didn't know how much the 24 lightning orbs were to Yemo. The man was immersed in spirit controlling the gourd. There was Tao waves circulating around him and a defense formation disc there. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2049, Too Wicked. 2049, Too Wicked. Yemo knew that if he was to spirit control all the lightning orbs, he definitely wouldn't be able to beat that man. But he had to spirit control one layer of restriction for each orb to remove it from the orb. Seeing this, Yemo set up a stealth formation and threw out the time formation disc and started to spirit control the orbs. As soon as the man started spirit controlling the gourd, he knew his plans had some error. He didn't attack the two immediately because he was certain that they couldn't escape. He knew it would take at least half a day to escape from the entrance. He definitely would have spirit controlled the first layer of restriction by then. With that, the gourd would be his. They were inside his gourd. How could they escape? There was 24 orbs here, but he definitely wouldn't spirit control them first as the set was incomplete. If he chose the gourd, those two would definitely go after the 24 lightning orbs. No one can ignore such treasure. If they did so, they would waste more time in the gourd, which would benefit him even more. But soon, he realized he thought of things too simply. Each level of restriction was extremely hard to spirit control. He would need a long time even for just the first level. He knew that Yemo set up a stealth formation, but he couldn't care. He just wanted to finish the first layer quickly and take the gourd away. With the time formation disc set up, Yemo immediately sped up. When he pulled all 24 orbs from the gourd, it only took 4 hours. Yemo didn't even take the stealth formation flags and just left the gourd entrance. He knew that he would spirit control this gourd faster, but he didn't dare to do it. The man can't stop now, but if he tried to go spirit control the gourd too, the man might just come to kill him. The man immediately knew when Yemo left, but he couldn't stop now. His first level of restriction was almost done. By then, he would be able to put he gourd away. If he did that, there was no way the two in here could get away. Yemo clearly knew what the man was planning. After taking the 24 orbs, he immediately charged up. When Yemo came to the middle of the gourd, he saw the immortal goddess desperately holding the dagger. When she saw Yemo come, she quickly said, "I've dug out the middle of the gourd, but I can't spirit control it, so I can't put it in the storage ring. I'll do it." Yemo took the dagger and immediately started spirit controlling the barrier at the middle. Yemo just spirit controlled a bit, and there was a huge laughter. Not good, he finished spirit controlling the gourd. "We can't get away." The immortal goddess immediately released that rune wanting to run away. Yemo couldn't care anymore. He just took this blockage and sent it into his golden page world. Just because a storage ring couldn't store it, didn't mean that his golden page world couldn't store it. Indeed, before the man finished laughing, the blockage was sent into the golden page world. How did you do it? The immortal goddess looked dazedly at Yemo. Yemo sneered, "Hurry up and run. Do you want to wait for him to put away the gourd?" Then, Yemo dashed towards the Black Lake. The two of them noticed that after Yemo took the blockage, the whirlpools and lightnings were gone. So were the chaotic laws. Seeing this, the immortal goddess immediately followed. You still want to run when you're in my gourd? Huh, the man laughed. If someone was next to the Black Lake, he would notice that lake was gone. What remained was just a huge basin. The man was holding a gourd standing at the basin laughing. Ha! Another wave of laughter sounded. The man dazed, and then he noticed that the one laughing was the immortal emperor Little Brat. He didn't think EMO was an immortal emperor. Otherwise, how could he come here? He was dazed. Wasn't he in the gourd? How was he laughing outside? EMO really wanted to laugh. He was laughing so much his stomach was hurting. He felt he was too smart. The blockage he cut from the gourd was definitely the bottom of the gourd. For some reason, the bottom of the gourd shrunk and fell to the middle. This was what caused the Black Lake. The Black Lake was a gourd, but one that could be entered from the bottom. When the man laughed, EMO and the immortal goddess were indeed scared, but then they saw a sliver of light. The two dashed out from there without trouble. If a gourd didn't even have a bottom, how could it trap people? The man saw EMO laugh so much and dazed for quite a while before raising the shrunken gourd and looked from the entrance. Then he saw that he could see through to the other side. He saw from the entrance of the gourd EMO laughing and raising his middle finger. Although his spirit controlled one layer of restriction, the bottom of the gourd was gone. The man immediately realized what happened, and his face went purple. Do you see me? You're so old, and you're using a gourd to be a telescope. Ha! EMO felt he was too smart to have dug the bottom of the gourd out. Although he didn't know what telescope was nor why EMO raised his middle finger, but the immortal goddess saw the man's face, and then looked at EMO. She couldn't resist laughing too. She had never laughed like this ever since entering the immortal goddess sacred sect. But today, this EMO guy was too wicked. He dug out the bottom of the 3 treasure primordial essence gourd. Is it very funny? The man's face recovered, and he stared at EMO asking coldly. EMO raised Zisu and said seriously, that's right, it's very funny. You're this old, probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands year old, but you still play with kaleidoscopes like a little kid. Can you not see me directly with your eyes? Do you have to look at me through a gourd without a bottom? Die! The man could no longer control his anger. His sun and moon 8 trigram spear carried out a pale crescent strike at EMO. At the same time, his Tao actualization divine emperor domain smashed out. The surrounding space-time seemed to have been bound by him. The immortal goddess immediately released her lotus stand and smashed 9 blue rays at the man. She knew that if something happened to EMO, she would have to keep running. EMO, who was seemingly bound, smiled. Zisu suddenly started to distort and broke free from this binding. The space distortion around Zisu grew bigger. Before the crescent landed above EMO, countless purple beams were bombed out of nowhere. They rapidly formed a twisted sword wave and smashed out. Thud! The pale white crescent clashed with the purple twisted sword wave, and the crescent immediately exploded. Then, a faint red sun wheel that was about to form also crippled. Before the man could be shocked, he swept up countless spear shadows with his spear that formed a barrier around him. Crack! The barrier completely blocked the lotus stand's beams. The man didn't keep releasing his spear, but looked at EMO in disbelief. What god art is this? It stopped my crescent moon? Give me that gourd telescope, and I'll tell you. EMO smiled. This falling mark sword mark was indeed powerful. He just learned it and only released one, but it stopped half the attack of a Tao actualization divine emperor. Seeing EMO was this powerful, the immortal goddess felt assured and rejoiced that she fled to here. The man's face sunk. He knew that neither of them were a match for him, but the two joined up, making it quite impossible for taking them out. Give me the bottom of that gourd. Name a price. The man didn't keep fighting and chose to negotiate with EMO. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. $20.50 scare off. $20.50 scare off. How could EMO give the bottom of this man? If he did, This man would have the complete gourd. Sam, I want your bottomless gourd, name a price. Seeing the man negotiate, he knew that the man couldn't take them out. The main thing was that the immortal goddess's lotus stand was too powerful. The man sneered and said to the immortal goddess, Jishi, I'll give you the blue bottle. You can go. You're a powerful person from the immortal goddess sacred sect. I won't do anything to you. Why stay with this wild brat? If you keep doing this, I'll report all your tracks to the immortal goddess sacred sect, I think, so the immortal goddess was called Jishi. Yemo immediately knew his predicament. If Jishi agreed to this, he would be in extreme danger. Jishi dazed. She completely didn't expect that the man was willing to give her the blue bottle, just so she wouldn't attack. She then immediately knew that he was using the blue bottle to trade for everything Yemo had. This was a huge profit, and she knew that the man also planned to keep hunting her after he killed Yemo and then take the blue bottle back. She sneered. When the blue bottle was in her hands, he dared to think about getting it back. He was dreaming. As for reporting to her sect, she didn't care at all. The man was certain that she would agree to his condition. He knew that she had a lot of secrets and he might not be able to get back the blue bottle, but he wasn't worried. He just needed to take out Yemo. Yemo had much greater secrets on him. Yemo took the 24 lightning orbs before he could spirit control the first layer of restriction. Clearly, Yemo had some time manipulation magic artifact or even time formation disc. Otherwise, there was no way Yemo would finish before him. Both of them stared at Jishi. Yemo didn't explain the man's intentions. He knew that she would be able to think of it. Yemo was thinking that if Jishi agreed, he would run immediately. The man was thinking that as soon as Jishi agreed, he would seal this place. Jishi hesitated. She really wanted to get the blue bottle so easily, and she wouldn't feel guilty at all. After all, she gave Yemo a golden bow and arrow, but Yemo didn't help her at all. She didn't get a share of the gourd, nor the lightning orbs. Although she discussed with Yemo to use a Tao bead to heavily injure the man, but whether they would be able to keep him was another matter. Plus, the bead was too precious to her. She only had one. Yemo's heart sunk. He was ready to release instant second. In that second, he would be able to instant transmission away. Pale face, people really do meet everywhere. Another dashing light came. It was a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. The man looked younger than him. His red hair was braided, but his eyes were icy blue. There was a sliver of arrogance and wildness on his face, but his hands were long and white. Kong Qingtian, I didn't go find you, but you dare to come to me. I don't have time to waste with you today. Move away, the pale-faced man said. If it was another time, how could he take this Kong Qingtian seriously? But at this crucial moment when she was about to agree, he suddenly popped up. Are you two fighting this pale-face? Count me in, we can gain up and beat the shit out of him, Kong Qingtian said. She sighed. She knew she had no chance. Regardless if she agreed or not, there was no point in staying here. Even if she agreed, the pale-faced man wouldn't agree. Now that another Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor came, even if she didn't join, Yemo and that guy wouldn't fear the man. Seeing Kong Qingtian release his magic artifact, the man saluted with his fists ace changed. He disappeared into a dashing light without hesitation. If it was 3 ordinary Tao Nourishment Divine Emperors, he wouldn't care, but he knew that Kong Qingtian and she were peerless. This strange, immortal emperor wasn't easy to mess with too, so he might as well flee. Ha ha ha, paleface, you finally fled in front of your granddad, Kong Qingtian laughed. Yemo had a golden immortal of this Kong Qingtian not because he saved him, but he seemed to be like Ding Jie. She hesitated before, and now she didn't have the face to keep staying with Yemo. She said nothing and turned to leave. Isn't she your woman? Why did she leave? Kong Qingtian asked in confusion. She didn't go far, and hearing this she almost tripped and wanted to come back and fight Kong Qingtian. Luckily she had some reason and knew she was no match for Kong Qingtian. I would never want such a woman. Thank you for helping Brother Kong. The white face was scared off. Yemo saluted with his fists. That's true, pretty women are usually bad, that's what my dad told me. Kong Qingtian laughed, and then saluted with his fists. My name was said by that pale face. What's your name? I respect you for daring to stand off with him. I'm Emo. This white face came looking for my trouble for no reason. One day I'm going to take him out. Emo said without hesitation. The reason he was going after that man was because he wanted the gourd. Plus, he knew that even if he didn't go after the man, he would come for him. Okay, I want to kill him too, but I can't beat him yet. We used the woman's threat a bit too, but that woman just walks off. Kong Qingtian was annoyed that she just left. But then he immediately patted Yemo's shoulder. Not bad. You're only an immortal emperor, but you dare to appear in the god Necropolis domain. It seems your power isn't ordinary. Yemo didn't mind Kong Qingtian patting his shoulder. He seemed to be this straightforward person. It was impossible for him to leave any marks on his body. Yemo wanted to admit he was Tao molding Divine Emperor, but then he thought that if he admitted that he couldn't sense the life-crippling restriction grounds, then Kong Qingtian might be able to guess he vindicated Tao in the five-element world. Thinking about this, Yemo laughed, I have some luck, but I don't fear ordinary Tao molding emperors. Great. I respect people like you. I'm going to the life-crippling restriction grounds. Are you going? If so, let's go together. Don't worry. I'll protect you since that woman is gone. Kong Qingtian said generously. I want to go. I went with her before for her to bring me there. Now that she's gone, if Brother Kong can take me there, I would be very grateful. Yemo thanked. Kong Qingtian waved his hand. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Yemo thought that he was indeed a Tao molding Divine Emperor now, but he could only at most survive in the god Necropolis domain. He had 6 golden bone arrows and 36 lightning orbs. If he didn't turn that into his means, he would be an idiot. Thinking about this, Yemo saluted with his fists. Brother Kong, I have some private matters to deal with. It would probably take a few years, so please go first. I'll go after I'm done dealing with my own things. Kong Qingtian said generously, no problem. I'll leave some spirit sense marks on the way. Have this jade card. You can use it to find my spirit sense mark. Yemo rejoiced, and quickly, thank you, Brother Kong. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. I have one more thing to ask, Brother Kong. Do you know if one can leave this place in the end? Do you have to reach Primordial Essence Divine Emperor before you can go out? Yemo asked. I have one more thing to ask, Brother Kong. Do you know if one can leave this place in the end? Do you have to reach Primordial Essence Divine Emperor before you can go out? Yemo asked. Kong Qingtian said affirmatively, you can definitely go out, but the place you get out to is not necessarily the broken Divine Tao realm. You might appear in other realms. As for Tao Essence Divine Emperor, there might not be one in every 100,000 Divine Emperors. Plus, how can there be that many Divine Emperors in the world? Of course, if you truly reach Tao Vindication Divine Emperor, you might be able to easily tear the space here and leave. Yemo rejoiced and asked, may I ask Brother Kong where the way out is? Kong Qingtian shook his head. I only know the way out is at the life-crippling restriction grounds. I've only been at the god Necropolis domain for no more than a few hundred years. Now that I reached Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, I want to go life-crippling restriction grounds and see. There are many old monsters who have stayed here for countless years. Perhaps if you ask them, you might know. Thank you, Brother Kong. Let's meet again at the life-crippling restriction grounds, Yemo said. It had been 1 month since Yemo separated from Kong Qingtian. In the Golden Page world, Yemo's spirit controlled the 2 golden bones to the 99th restriction. The golden light was getting dimmer, but the terrifying murderous chi in the arrow was getting heavier. Yemo couldn't go any further over 99th level of restriction. Then, Yemo continued to spirit control the bow and the other arrows to the 99th restriction. Despite this, the bow and arrow was still called Golden Bow of Immortal Extermination. After he had done all that, the time formation disk had ran for 4 months. Feeling the bow and arrow increase in power by tens of folds, Yemo was very satisfied. Before that, Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor could grab his bow and arrow, but now, probably even that pale-faced man couldn't grab it. Suppressing the desire to test it, Yemo took out the 36 lightning orbs. He had 48 right now, 12 were fake. Yemo knew these orbs had restriction, but they were completely different to the ones Golden Bow of Divine Extermination had. There was 108 restriction, and Yemo spent nearly half a year and could only reach 99th level. It seemed they were something of equal caliber to the Golden Bow of Divine Extermination, Yemo guessed. There was powerful lightning source killing intent and lightning law in the orbs. Yemo immediately realized the power of these 36 orbs. I finally have some self-protection means. Yemo put these 36 orbs into a sea of consciousness and breathed. He had spent about a year in the Golden Page world. After Yemo left the Golden Page world, he immediately took out Kong Qingtian's Jade card. As soon as he took it, he sensed the spirit sense marks Kong Qingtian made. Not bad. Yemo felt Kong Qingtian was a really nice person. Since Yemo walked the path that Kong Qingtian walked, there wasn't anything good left as Kong Qingtian would have taken them. But Yemo didn't care, that way he would go faster. As Yemo traveled, he vindicated his god art. The god Necropolis domain space was very tough. Even if his god art can annihilate a star, it wouldn't cause much disturbance in the god Necropolis domain. 4 months later, Yemo's 36 lightning orbs could form a formation. Accompanied with his Tao molding divine emperor domain, he could completely bind a Tao nourishment divine emperor. Plus, the lightning orbs could attack Sea of Consciousness with lightning. Yemo could barely release 2 falling mark sword runes. If he shot all 6 golden bow of divine extermination arrows, he could instant kill Tao molding divine emperor, but that would be too taxing on his essence chi and spirit sense. The only pity Yemo had was that his great primordial god rune didn't improve much. As for the world rock and How Heaven drum, they were rarely used. The How Heaven drum was high level, but Yemo didn't like drum sound god arts and rarely studied it. As for the world rock, it was powerful, but Yemo got too little. The world rock could be powerful in the immortal realm, but in the god Necropolis domain, it didn't seem very useful. Yemo really liked this world rock magic artifact. If it wasn't so small, he would often use it. He even thought if he spirit controlled the entire world mountain, it would be a huge lethal weapon. It was no weaker than a prenatal spirit treasure. However, he didn't have the power. Even now, he might not have the power to spirit control it. Yemo was still deriving his falling mark sword rune, but he was captivated by this 10 kilometers tall pale light. Yemo immediately knew that there were 2 masters who were at least Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor fighting. Another pale crescent flew with a faint red mark. Yemo immediately recognized that one of them was the pale face man. To be able to fight him, the other person must be at least Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. If it was some other Tao Actualization Divine Emperor fighting, Yemo would move as far away as possible, but that pale-faced man was someone he wanted to kill the most in here. He immediately flew over without hesitation. The 2 were going as they were fighting. Yemo had to follow to keep up. In order to prevent the man from knowing he was following, Yemo had to stealth his figure. This chase went on for a few days. When he was getting closer and closer, Yemo finally saw who the pale-faced man was fighting. It was an ordinary-looking middle-aged woman. However, she was definitely Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, and her dual silver swords shot out pale lights too that entwined with the pale-faced man's spear. Rumble. The swords and the spear clashed. The silver-white veil receded, and the woman flew out spitting blood in the air. The pale-faced man didn't have it easy too. Although his spear hit the woman's chest, he was also shot by the silver-white light. However, his injuries were much lighter than the woman's. The 2 fought for many days, and now they were both injured. Yemo knew this was the best time to ambush. But then he saw the pale-faced man land in a valley, and there were 8 people there. Yemo hesitated and released Falling Mark Sword Rune. It was best to use Golden Bow of Divine Extermination to ambush, but there were too many people here. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. 2052 Wu Ding Valley. 2052 Wu Ding Valley. Although the pale-faced man was already a Tao actualization divine emperor, his power was greatly weakened after fighting that woman for a few days and getting injured. When he saw there were quite some people in the valley, he focused his attention, being wary of them. He didn't expect the ambush to come from behind his back. When two twisted sword runes were about to tear him apart, he suddenly realized he couldn't even smash out the moon spear and released it. At the same time, he burned his essence chi while lighting up his armor. Rumble. The falling mark sword rune Yemo had been preparing for a long time fell on the spears. The Tao waves on the sword rune spun and completely tore apart the wave brought about by the spear. The spear couldn't handle such attack, and the spear veil that hadn't been formed was instantly broken. Splurge. The twisted sword rune easily broke that vibrant armor, bringing out a spray of blood. The man's face went pale. Seeing how he was about to be sliced in half, a huge essence chi hand pulled him away. Yemo didn't keep attacking. The hand that grabbed the man came from a Tao actualization divine emperor, and he knew that even if the pale-faced man wasn't pulled, Yemo wouldn't be able to kill him. Yemo planned that if his ambush landed, the pale-faced man would be torn open. However, Yemo didn't expect that the pale-faced man had such a top-grade armor. He was also a body refinement cultivator too. If the strike wasn't lethal, someone like the pale-faced man could definitely run away. Yemo's ambush finished in an instant, and now almost everyone stared at Yemo. Yemo seemed to be only a mortal emperor, but he dared to ambush a Tao actualization divine emperor. This made everyone realize Yemo was no immortal emperor. The pale-faced man was injured very heavily. The core of his body had been injured. "Thank you, Brother Yunli. Please protect me," the pale-faced man said as he quickly ate pills. "Thank you for helping, Divine Brother. I'm Gan Shintong," the middle-aged woman said. Yemo saluted with his fists. "I'm Yemo. This little pale-faced bitch took my things. I came here to settle things with him." Yemo saw that there were two Tao actualization divine emperors in the valley. The rest of them were below Tao actualization divine emperor. Yemo breathed easy seeing that there were no Tao essence divine emperor. At the same time, he saw she was here, but she didn't come out and talk with him. With so many people staying here, this valley definitely wasn't ordinary. Thus, Yemo didn't leave. There were two Tao actualization divine emperors here before, the brother Yunli and an old man. Now there were four Tao actualization divine emperors. However, Gan Shintong was injured and the pale-faced man was heavily injured. Most people looked at the old man, while a few looked at Yemo and Gan Shintong. Yemo dared to ambush a Tao actualization divine emperor and succeeded. Gan Shintong was with Yemo. Their power was not to be underestimated. Everyone was guessing if Yemo was Tao actualization divine emperor. Muhan divine emperor. There's more than 10 people here. Speak up. A chubby Tao nourishment divine emperor said. The old man nodded and saluted with his fist to Yemo and Gan Shintong. "My title is called Muhan. You two just came here, but probably don't know why we're staying here." Muhan divine emperor said as he studied Yemo. He couldn't see through Yemo's cultivation level. That's why he was concerned with Yemo. He still felt a little shocked about the two sword runes Yemo ambushed the pale-faced man with. "May I ask, Brother Muhan, why everyone is staying here?" Gan Shintong asked. Muhan divine emperor said, "Have you heard of God Necropolis domain Wooding Valley?" Yemo never heard about it, but Gan Shintong said in shock, "Is this place Wooding Valley?" Muhan divine emperor nodded. "That's right. We're certain it is, but the formation outside is too high level. We've been searching for many days, but still didn't find an entrance." Gan Shintong said with disappointment, "Wooding old man is unparalleled in formation. It seems no one can break the entrance formation. Muhan Divine Emperor said with awkwardness, "That's right. Although we have a lot of people here, there are no top-level formation grandmasters. My formation skills are higher, but I can only barely set up level 8 immortal formation." Jishi stared at Yimo. She knew that Yimo's formation skills were definitely higher than everyone here. Yimo's spirit sense searched this valley. He didn't know who Wooding Old Man was, but since so many people were looking for this place, it wasn't simple. "My formation skills are simple. What is your opinion, Brother Muhan?" Gan Shintong said. "I think we should attack the valley in batches. We would eventually find an entrance." Muhan Divine Emperor said. Gan Shintong subconsciously said that way, there's only 10% chance of finding the entrance. There would be 90% chance that the space here would be completely sealed and never to be opened. Muhan Divine Emperor was helpless. In fact, we've already discussed this. There's nothing else we can do. Yimo suddenly asked Martial Sister Gan, "May I ask the story of the Wooding Valley?" Hearing this, everyone except she looked at Yimo with shock. They were too speechless that Yimo didn't even know about such place. Gan Shintong looked at Yimo in confusion. "Brother Yi, you really don't know about Wooding Valleys?" Yimo said awkwardly, "I've been cultivating with Master in the cultivation home. I've only come out for a few years." "So that's it?" Gan Shintong said, and then explained, "Wooding Old Man is a legend in the divine Tao realm. He's very powerful, but his formation skills are even greater. I'm not sure if he's a primordial essence divine emperor, but everyone knows he lives at this region of the god Necropolis domain, and his home is called the Wooding Valley. Then there was a big battle in the divine Tao realm. This area was affected too. Some primordial essence divine emperor fought their way here. Wooding Old Man didn't want to be involved in the battle, and thus set up formation, completely sealing the space around his valley. Yimo realized there was definitely large sums of treasures in Wooding Old Man's home, and maybe even his heritage. Martial Sister Gan, you're saying Wooding Old Man is still in this valley? Yimo thought that if Wooding Old Man was on par with Primordial Essence Divine Emperor, his life would be unlimited. Muhan Divine Emperor said after he sealed the valley, he wasn't able to hide inside and was caught by the battle. His best friend asked him for help, and in the end brought over a huge enemy. Wooding Old Man died in that battle. Yimo's spirit sense scanned this valley, but didn't find any clues. However, he believed that at the very least he could find the formation door. Just when Yimo was thinking about asking for benefits, he saw the pale-faced man get up. Yimo suddenly thought of something and smiled. He had decided to start with this guy first. The man was very cunning, and seeing Yimo's evil smile, he immediately knew what Yimo wanted. He still remembered Yimo's formation in the Black Lake. Clearly, Yimo was a top-level formation grandmaster. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. "2053 Generous Yimo. 2053 Generous Yimo, Brother Yunli. Thank you for your protection," the pale-faced man said to the Divine Emperor. Yunli smiled. "It's no big deal. Don't be so polite." Yunli Divine Emperor knew that he did an easy favor. Even if he didn't help, the pale-faced man could easily get away. The man took out an exquisite gourd and gave it to Yunli. "I know you like collecting magic artifact fragments. I have a gourd here, but the bottom is gone. Please have it." Yunli Divine Emperor frowned. He liked magic artifact fragments, but if you're giving gifts, you can't give a fragment. However, this gourd was quite exquisite. He took the gourd without showing any annoyance. "Then thank you, Brother Jian." Before he finished, Yunli Divine Emperor's face changed and grabbed the gourd tightly. "What gourd is this?" The pale-faced man regretted giving the gourd out. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't stay here to recover. He was certain that Yimo wouldn't be able to catch up to him. But if he wanted to go now, Yimo would ask the Tao Actualization Divine Emperors to catch up to him and kill him. He was this heavily injured. He didn't feel confident escaping a Tao actualization divine emperor at all. This pale-faced man, this gourd is the Black Lake. You're saying the three treasure primordial essence gourd? Almost everyone stared at the gourd with beams coming out of their eyes. This was a prenatal spirit treasure. There were that many divine emperors, but no one was said to have a prenatal spirit treasure. Immediately, people thought of another thing, the 36 lightning orbs. These two magic artifacts were spirit-controlled. Everyone all gazed at the pale-faced man. Yemo cursed. He didn't expect this man to be this shameless. He did intend to tell Muhan Divine Emperor that he can find the entrance, and the condition was to get the gourd off the pale-faced man. But Yemo didn't bring this up as he knew it would backfire. However, this pale-faced man immediately saw this and took the thing out. Next, the man would definitely say the lightning orbs were on him. That way, those greedy looks would come to him. These old things were all extremely cunning. This is the three treasure primordial essence gourd. However, the bottom is dug out. I believe since this person can dig out the bottom, he must have something on par with it. When I was spirit controlling the gourd, at the entrance, Yemo interrupted, there were 12 lightning orbs, right? There's clearly 24. As soon as the pale-faced man said this, he knew he was tricked by Yemo. He wanted to say 36, and Yemo took all 36, but he spilled the truth because of Yemo's tricks. The value of 36 orbs and 24 orbs were definitely different. 24 was at most a powerful magic artifact, but its power would be much lower than 36. The Black Lake is really spirit-controlled? Someone immediately stared at the pale-faced man desperately. Even Mu Han, Divine Emperor, looked at the man with fervor. Yemo didn't run immediately. He knew that even if he did, the news would spill, and if he fled, everything would be pushed onto him. That's right, this is the person whose spirit controlled the Black Lake. The man pointed at Yemo. He not only took the bottom of the gourd, and also took 24 lightning orbs. Do you know why he ambushed me now? It's because he has the bottom of the gourd, but not the gourd itself. Everyone looked at Yemo. Yemo got out and saluted with his fists. How long has the Black Lake been at the God Necropolis domain? Why has the gourd and bead not been taken? Let me tell everyone. I was traveling at the God Necropolis domain, and then as I was getting close to it, there was a huge explosion. There was 12 consecutive sounds. I immediately came to the Black Lake, but found the Tao wave chi in their weaken. I was greedy, so I jumped in the lake without hesitation. The pale-faced man didn't know how Yemo entered the lake, so he couldn't argue about this. Only she knew Yemo was lying, but she didn't expose Yemo seeing this. Yemo knew that everyone believed him, so he said, I heard there was lightning and Tao wave law in the Black Lake. However, when I went in, there was no violent chi, and there was a huge hole at the bottom of the lake. The hole was getting bigger, so I went in the hole. Then Yemo pointed at this man. This guy probably saw me jump in, so he followed me. However, he was actually faster than me. When I got to the entrance of the gourd, he already started spirit controlling the gourd. I could only spirit control the 24 lightning orbs. However, it wasn't a complete set. Although I spirit controlled the 24 orbs, its power is average. A divine emperor is full of lies. The pale-faced man looked at Yemo with scorn. I did go down first, but the hole wasn't getting bigger, but smaller. Plus, were you alone? Yemo said all that just to bait the man to say this. Yemo said calmly, there's enmity between us. You can add whatever you want. Even if you say I have a partner here, it's up to you. The pale-faced man laughed. Your partner is indeed here. She joined up with you to attack me. Do you not dare to admit? You're saying I was staying with she? Yemo looked at the man with surprise. The pale-faced man immediately realized that Yemo was setting up traps. If he said Yemo was with someone else, people would believe it, but she was from a mortal goddess sacred sect. Seeing the man's face change, Yemo said seriously, little white face, you can rob things, but you can't say the wrong things. You robbed my gourd, but there's no bottom, so I don't care. But you're saying I was with the immortal goddess. If this gets to the divine sect, I won't be the only one involved. She isn't not only an immortal goddess, she's the saint of the immortal goddess sacred sect. Gan Shintong sneered, helping Emo. With this, people started to doubt the pale-faced man. There was no way the saint of a mortal goddess sacred sect would mix with Emo. Ji Shi's face was cold. Emo felt very good. He knew Ji Shi wouldn't admit she was with him. Seeing the man about to talk again, Emo suddenly took out 12 bluish-gray orbs and said, "I got 24 lightning orbs, but I know to share good things just like this Wooding Valley. Since everyone was willing to share with me, so I'll take out 12 orbs to share with everyone." The pale-faced man didn't expect Emo was this generous. He was willing to give out half of what he got. Many people thought Emo was scared and wanted to share a portion to calm everyone's jealousy. "You only got 24 lightning orbs. Did 12 explode? And that's why the gourd's bottom was blasted away?" One Tao molding divine emperor said. Hearing this, everyone immediately connected this to the 12 explosions. There really might be 12 lightning orbs exploding and blasting the bottom of the gourd. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. "2054 Wooding Entrance." 2054 Wooding Entrance, there was 24 orbs in total, and Emo took out 12 in one go. Yemo's spirit controlled the orbs, and it had nothing to do with everyone here. Emo did things to the extreme. Although most people believed Yemo's words, Emo still felt a subtle cold spirit sense scan over him. No matter how subtle it was, Emo still felt it. However, Emo acted like he felt nothing and didn't scan his spirit sense back. Since Dao Friend Yi is willing to share the lightning orbs, I think we should keep it on Dao Friend Yi first. After we break the seal, we'll see who contributed the most. If everyone has one, the lightning orbs would lose instant second original value. Muhan Divine Emperor got up and said without disappointment. He believed Emo that the 24 orbs power was ordinary. Otherwise, Emo wouldn't take out 12. The gourd was good, but it didn't have a bottom. That was no good. Yunli Divine Emperor calmed down now. He looked at the gourd and sighed. This gourd was useless. It was a pity to throw it away, but it was not much use and caused people to be jealous. I don't have much need for this. Before Yunli Divine Emperor finished, Jishi walked up and saluted with her fists. Yunli Qianbei, Wanbei, is interested in this gourd. Wanbei is willing to trade it with a purple Een God well bead. If Qianbei isn't willing, then never mind. When Jishi was heavily injured and fell into the huge fist hole, she fell into a purple well. After she recovered, she found out that the well was purple Een God well. After she devoured it, she found a bead there. "You have purple Een God bead?" "Of course I'm willing." Yunli Divine Emperor gave the gourd to Ji-Shi without hesitation. The bead was more useful than the well. It can empower God art, rebuild the 6 meridians. Yunli Divine Emperor even suspected that Ji-Shi didn't know the main use of the bead, and that's why she was willing to trade it with him. Emo didn't dare to ask for the gourd. If he did, then people would really suspect it was on him. Seeing Ji-Shi get the gourd, he immediately said, "Everyone, I have a way to find the entrance." People's attention was immediately caught by Emo. Emo said, "I'm a top-level immortal formation grandmaster. With time, I can definitely find the entrance. Even if I can't break it, I can find a way to open it. I only have one condition. I have a blue bottle." Before Emo finished, the pale-faced man immediately turned into a dashing white light and disappeared. He knew what Emo wanted. The blue bottle wasn't Emo's. Emo clearly wanted it to exchange the gourd with Jishi. Seeing the pale-faced man flee before Emo finished, Emo couldn't do anything. Emo could only say, "The reason I ambushed him is because a blue bottle of mine was robbed by this guy. I wanted everyone to help, but this little bastard got away too quickly." Muhan Divine Emperor showed a sliver of guilt on his face. "I didn't take naught, but Dao Friend, you don't worry. The next time we see this person, I will definitely help without hesitation." The other Divine Emperors expressed that they were willing to help Emo next time. Emo smiled and saluted with his fists. However, he knew this was all bullshit. When the valley was open and everyone shared the wealth, it would be strange if anyone remembered helping him. He didn't ask for more after the formation entrance was found because he knew it was full of shit. When everyone saw good things, no one would leave anything for him. She was disappointed. She knew that Yimo was experienced in formation and might be able to find the entrance. That's why she traded for the gourd, so she could remind Yimo to get the blue bottle. However, the man reacted too fast and fled. Yimo started to search for the entrance. Everyone waited at the valley. Some people didn't believe Yimo was a top immortal formation grandmaster, but they had no choice. As Yimo threw down formation flags, he caught some formation waves. When Yimo saw the ripple formation flags, he was dazed. He felt this was extremely familiar. He saw new formation means again. It was formation set up using formation rune Tao waves. He had never thought of this before. This wasn't why he was shocked. The reason he was shocked was because he saw the shadow of great primordial god rune in these formation runes. Yimo immediately realized great primordial god rune was left by wooding old man. Yimo suddenly regretted. He suddenly didn't want to keep breaking the formation. He would come back here himself later. How much fortune would be in the valley if the owner could use a terrifying god art like the great primordial god rune? As soon as Yimo paused, Muhan Divine Emperor said, "Tao friend Yi is capable indeed. We searched for a few days and couldn't feel the formation at all, but Yimo just used half a day and we felt it. It seems there is a chance to open the valley." Hearing this, Yimo knew that this cunning fox saw through his hesitation. If he didn't continue, there would be fighting. A day later, the formation waves were getting clearer and clearer. Even those who didn't understand formation well knew that it would only be a matter of time before Yimo found the entrance to the seal. Another day later, Yimo stopped setting up formation flags. An extremely faint formation whirlpool appeared before everyone. Yimo's face was calm, but his heart wasn't. He knew that this formation whirlpool was formed by many formation runes. It wasn't a real whirlpool. If one didn't understand great primordial god rune, it was impossible to break open here. He also felt confused. It didn't seem very hard for him to learn the two great primordial god rune. Why was it left there for countless years and no one could learn it? Now that the formation whirlpool appeared, people knew that if they attacked this, the entrance would soon show. "Ha! Tao friend Yi is indeed amazing. Your formation skills are at such level. If it wasn't for you, we would definitely not find this entrance. Let us attack the entrance together. Tao friend Yi can rest of course, don't take out those 12 lightning orbs. It's what you deserve." Muhan Divine Emperor laughed and was the first to come to the formation entrance. If he didn't have to put in more effort, of course Yimo wouldn't. Yimo was speechless. He couldn't give away the 12 orbs. They were fake. If someone wanted them, he would give it without hesitation. Yimo watched as the 9 divine emperors attacked. He knew none of the divine emperors would use their real power. They wouldn't even take out their real magic artifact. All sorts of light smashed at the seal. Ripples sprung, and even the space was making cracking sounds. Those ripples that were damaged would soon recover. However, with so many people attacking, it soon slowed down. The entrance seemed about to fall under the constant attack of 9 divine emperors. One day and night passed, that whirlpool finally made a crack. Then, there was a more terrifying roar. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. "2055 Battle, Tao, Nourishment, Divine Emperor again." 2055 Battle, Tao, Nourishment, Divine Emperor again. With this roar, an extremely fast shadow dashed out from the whirlpool. Its powerful force forced back the divine emperors. The Tao molding divine emperor at the front was suppressed by this force and couldn't move at all. Thud! This divine emperor cracked open like a ball. Not even his essence spirit was able to escape. Seeing this, everyone's head was tingling. What god beast was this? It was this terrifying, killing a Tao molding emperor with just one ram. Yemo was also shocked. He had released Zisu already. Swoosh. The figure didn't battle with the rest of the divine emperor and rapidly disappeared from the entrance. After a long while, people stared at that figure and asked, what was that? God beast? It's a god beast on par with Tao Essence Divine Emperor. Luckily, it didn't do anything to us. Muhan Divine Emperor said. Then, the rest of the people realized the valley was open and all charged in. Yemo was the last. He looked at the direction the shadow disappeared to, but calmed down. The most terrifying thing about it was its speed. Seeing everyone go in the valley, Yemo charged in without hesitation. Before going in, if you scanned your spirit sense in from outside, it would be pitch black. But after coming in, Yemo found it was brighter than the outside. There was a round orb shooting out light that seemed like sunlight. Yemo knew this was some formation. What appeared before him was a valley that wasn't spacious. There was not any grass on the sides. It was probably all eaten by the god beast that escaped. The chi here was much calmer than outside, and there were no space fissures. Yemo entered the valley rapidly, and in just 5 minutes, he saw 3 separate tunnels. Yemo chose the left one and sped up. Wooden Old Man quite possibly was the person who left the great primordial god rune. Yemo cared about it a lot. If he could get the heritage, his great primordial god rune would be even stronger. Yemo didn't go very long and felt he was followed. Yemo wasn't worried. The strongest here was only a Tao actualization divine emperor. Even if one was following him, he could get away. As soon as Yemo stopped, a purple figure appeared and spoke in a sharp voice. Not bad. You're very vigilant. Yemo knew that this person was the man who scanned him with spirit sense. Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. His eyes were very small and was probably stronger than the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor he killed. I already opened the valley. You can go find your things. Why are you following me? Yemo said. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor said, I know you found the entrance, and there's plenty of good things in here. But the valley is very big. I'm in no rush. I do have some private matters with you. Yemo looked calmly at this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor and didn't talk. He was thinking about if they would be evenly matched or if he would win. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor continued, other people think you're Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor or above, but only I know you just reached Tao Molding Divine Emperor. I admit your stealth cultivation method is the best. It's extremely natural. If you didn't fight, no one would think you're a Divine Emperor. If you have something to say, then hurry up. I'm busy and don't have time to waste with you. Yemo said with impatience. A sliver of sharp rays shot out the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor's eyes, but he didn't get angry. He calmed down again and said, other people don't believe little white-faced Jian Kuei's words, but I do. You not only have the bottom of the gourd, but you also have a dagger that can dig it out. I'm very excited to see this dagger. I won't rob you. Hand over the dagger and gourd bottom. I will get the gourd from the woman. Yemo knew that someone would remember when the little white face said he had a dagger. Leave your storage ring and piss off. Yemo said and released Zisu. He hacked out Crevice Goddard. This purple ray sliced across space and didn't gather void lethal force slowly like before. It swept the nearby space and smashed over. The endless lethal force completely bound the space, making the person unable to escape. Compared to Crevice, Yemo's move was tens of times stronger than before. Seeing that Yemo dared to attack him first, the Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor was furious. He waved up a golden rain that shot out countless powerful long nails in the air, blocking Yemo's crevice. Crack! Explosions sounded non-stop. The purple sword ray went from 30 kilometers long to only 3 kilometers long, but the golden nail rain thinned down. After some ear-screeching sound, the nail rain stopped and Yemo's crevice disappeared. Yemo attacked first, but he casually stopped Yemo's crevice. However, he stared at Yemo in shock. Did he see wrong? A Tao Molding Divine Emperor stopped his Tai Chi abstruse water nails in one move. Yemo tested that this man was much more fluent in his control over Tao wave laws. Although he just mixed in some simple space law in that move, it crippled under the rain. Before Yemo could recover, the water nail formed tens of long rivers and shdo at Yemo. It wasn't actually a river, but countless nails that formed a river of nails. The nails were golden colored before, but when it completely surrounded Yemo, they turned dark red. A corrosive chi came. Yemo's face changed. This nail magic artifact was too evil. Nails were usually small, hidden, and sharp, used for ambushing, but this person's nails were dominant, powerful, and wanted to corrode the entire landscape. Even if he forcefully break free from the SPAC, he would be swept by the nail river. If he didn't go into the Golden Page world, Yemo was certain that he would die even with his immortal god body. The 36 lightning orbs could block the river, but Yemo didn't want to use it. It wasn't that he was afraid of this Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor finding out he had all 36, but there was another person watching on the side. As the nail rivers fell, the corrosive chi grew stronger. Yemo didn't dare to hesitate and used a huge painting that shot out countless golden rays. These golden beams soon formed golden waves. On top of the waves were tens of golden-robed monks. As soon as they came out, their metal staffs smashed with the nail river, creating a huge explosion. The nail river blasted apart. Black water flew everywhere and nail beams shot, but the dominant force was stopped. When the nails struck the monks, their bodies soon dimmed and dissipated. However, those monks with more golden shines still stood. Adamantium Great Vehicle Painting. The Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor called out in shock as his eyes shot out more greed. At the same time, Yemo hacked with Zisu again, but it was his new god, Art this time, Falling Mark Sword Rune. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.